looks like nope, I didn't get the other one. I may have to actually start using these to get the other guy after all. This is such a crapshoot. I can see why it's better to just use nukes from this distance. This is like Ukraine being targeted by Russia, where they can't fucking hit shit. Well, I mean, if it's mobile. I have 8 of these now. I used to have only 4. If I had all this loaded, I'd be able to shoot 8 shells at once. Each shell explodes in about a 10 by 10 space, so it's not as good as like ship weapons. If only you could use ship weapons to target sites on the planet, which logically you should be able to do. But being able to, and you might ask why do you want that capability when you have nukes or nuke equivalents? And the answer is sometimes I don't want to destroy everything on the map. Sometimes I want some precision. And sometimes I don't want to use up a missile. Do I have the warhead still? I don't see it anywhere. Somewhere in here is a warhead. Here's my only warhead that I have. I don't want to launch this as a nuclear missile because I have these other missile launchers now that do the same job. What they can't do, you're going to love this. Here's what I do with nuclear missiles. I mean nuclear warheads. I use teleporters. Oh, got an incoming ship. My processor's going to chug. I teleport the warhead into the enemy ship, and then I set out a 30-second timer, and I just nuke the middle of the ship. I may as well show you. On stream is a good place to do it. I wanted to keep it for like an emergency, but it's not like this is the only warhead I'll ever have. Eventually I'll be able to make another one. And also, I can summon Rimatomics. I can't summon trade ships anymore because they've gotten wise to me. There's a reputation system in Save Our Ship 2, where if you just kill every trade ship, they stop coming. But Rimatomic ships are apparently separate from that. They don't interlock at that level, the 2 mods. So they'll come every time. Every time you summon one, you can just keep... They won't trade with you because you keep blowing them up. But they will keep showing up, and you can just fight them. And you just explode them, and usually they have 1 or 2 nuclear warheads on board that you can liberate. The little 5-finger discount. Let's do that right now. Let me show you what a teleporter can do. Let's see, where do we want it? I'd say right in here. I'm going to set that on a 30-second timer. We still have to shoot at the ship because we need to disable these railguns. If we don't disable these railguns, we're going to have a real bad time in a minute. Because they can just barely break through our shields. And not cause very much damage, but they cause enough. In fact, I'm going to use these 2. We don't want to actually fight them, though. Also, I'm going to take out their missiles. Just so we don't have to deal with the incoming missiles after the fight's over. I'm going to take out their boarding parties, too, because I don't want to have to fight them on my doorstep. That's all we're going to do, though. We're not going to actually use our weapons to destroy the ship. So they have no clue. They're none the wiser that, in fact, we've teleported a nuke to them. Any minute now. Well, I gotta accelerate. I don't want them to be able to escape. There we go. Let's dump some of that heat. We have to melt silver to dump heat. Luckily, we're determined mechanical exterminators who can't trade with anyone, so money has no meaning to us. That's how you truly get post-scarcity. You just kill everybody. That was sort of an epiphany for me. Money only means anything. Money stops, or rather, it stops meaning anything once you have the infrastructure to make everything you need for yourself, and you can't trade without anyone else anyway because you kill everyone you meet. Shields. Now, we watch these poor bitches. Snow Bunny, look, you see this here? This is not a butt plug, although it very much resembles one. This is a nuclear warhead I teleported. I used a teleporter to send it to their computer room. They are none the wiser. They see this thing and they don't know what it is. They think it's a giant butt plug, like you naturally would. I don't know if they can disarm it. I'm just disarming their railguns now. God, I wonder if I can detonate it with a mind flayer laser. You know, that's worth a shot. Oh, I already used all 4 of them. Never mind. Why did that one target incorrectly? That's been happening more and more lately. I think it's just bugs. Look at these 2 guys. What is this thing? I don't know, man. I want to put it up our butts. They have no clue. They're just oblivious. Poor bastards. 23. 22. Counting down to their extinction. What's astonishing is you can still abduct survivors from the wreckage after you nuke them. This is a tactical nuke, so it's not as devastating as a strategic nuke would be. It's pretty fucking good, though. They be shooting. Oh, fuck, they be shooting at me. It does not be availing them, however. Let me really quickly dump that heat as soon as all the shots are done. There we go. Okay, any incoming missiles? I can't afford to lose this. I turned off developer mode because I don't want to cheat anymore. So every loss is now unavoidably permanent. Heat. There we go. Here's my 2 nuclear reactors. Speaking of buttholes, I found out the hard way that my ship's butthole is its weakness. If anything hits me right here, not only does it destroy my irreplaceable warp drive, but it sets off a meltdown, which it causes the other reactor also to melt down. I thought I was being smart by putting the reactors near the back of the ship so that radiation wouldn't reach as far towards the inhabited portions. Not that that ever mattered, because the walls are impervious to radiation anyway, and putting them so close to the outer hull makes them vulnerable to attack. That makes me real fucking nervous. Man, I don't know. They're not gonna get me, though. We all laugh at the engineers of the Death Star for making like a butthole in the Death Star that you can shoot a laser into and blow up the whole thing. I did the same damn thing. I built my own Death Star with a butthole you can shoot a laser into that explodes it. Why did I do that? I couldn't tell you. It seemed like a good idea at the time. Maybe it was the same kind of thing. I mean, canonically, it was intentional weakness by a mole working within the Empire, but for the rebels, which is a good explanation. Actually, that's one of my favorite retcons from the newer films. It's a short list. Come on, blow up. How close to a horrible death are you? 11 seconds. This is OP. I always wondered why this wouldn't work in Star Trek. If you get their shields down, you can beam a photon torpedo aboard their ship and just detonate it. You don't even have to shoot at them anymore. Why would you not do that? I mean, you could just take their ship apart with your transporters, although that would take a lot of energy. But it wouldn't take a lot of energy just to beam a photon torpedo to their deck. I guess they could just beam it back, though. Not necessarily if their ship was really damaged. Imagine Hot Potato, where they're beaming it back and forth while the timer ticks down. 2, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. 2, 1, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And my CPU chugs. Hope it doesn't crash. Oh, there we go. Boosh! That should completely destroy the ship in a single hit. If it destroyed the critical systems. You can see the shockwave traveling internally. These guys right here and here and here are not having a good day. They're about to have, I think, their last day. I wonder what they're thinking. What is that bright light? Why is it indoors? It feels really warm all of a sudden. So it basically fucks up the entire ship in one hit. And will shortly convert all of it into carbonized ash. Yeah, like that. And a little bit of the shockwave will escape the ship. Most of it will be contained internally. Look at the radius that it simply fucking vaporized. It ruined more when there weren't walls in the way. It did better against the floors. Shit though, have a look at that. How do you do? There's even it's adorable. There's even a mushroom cloud. You know, they say all clouds have silver linings. Not this one. This one's purely bad. Well, actually no, it's not. I take that back. It's good for me. That's what's important. So is that OP or what? I mean, theoretically, if I save up enough nukes, I can install the extended Architect DLC mod for Save Our Ship 2, where there's way more powerful ships that you have to fight. That have way better weapons that would fucking smoke me. But I could still, if I could just hold out against them long enough, I could just nuke every single one of them. Nothing really prevents me from abusing the fuck out of that, which is what I fully intend to do. How are we doing with the shells? I'm gonna stop bombardment to save on them. While we wait for those shells to hit, I'm gonna show you the Moonbase. Actually, no. First, I'm gonna salvage wreckage. Look at this. Who are these people? Why are they possible to salvage from the ship? Who was not vaporized and irradiated? Anybody? Why would anyone have survived that? It's just an example of mods not talking to each other and creating weird situations. Let's take all that silver, thank you, and a little bit of ship salvage. Actually, I want some guns. I don't have enough guns. They don't have any good ones, though, so I guess not today. My standard sidearm for my robots, my robotomatrons, are plasma miniguns. I guess charged miniguns is what they're called here. But because those don't just occur as a reward for beating other ships, I have to manufacture them, which means I have as a secondary option. I have them prioritized in the per colonist preferences for weapons. Like if you can't get your hands on a charge minigun, then use a charge heavy machine gun instead, which is almost as good. It's pretty. I mean, when there's a lot of them. Quantity has a quality all of its own. You feel me? Hang on. Can I just look at the chat? Is there a way just to look at chat and not have to watch the video? It doesn't look that way. I used to know how to do this. It's funny, we spend like the first half of our lives learning shit, and then the second half forgetting. It's like we're front loading as much knowledge as possible so we can afford to forget a lot of it and still function. Let's look at the Moonbase. That's what I really have been working on. This is just a vanity project. I don't really need humans. Humans are basically just a resource drain. None of this is necessary for a robot crew. A base for robots just looks like a solar panel and a battery and an Android charger. Maybe under like a roof so that if you're on the planetary surface it doesn't get rained on. I've expanded on it a little bit since then. Oftentimes I want to deploy my robots to places at the poles where there are resources that I want, but I can't rely on sunshine year-round. So what I'll do is I'll bring the resources necessary to construct a geothermal generator, and then I build the base around that. And usually what I include is a battery as a buffer, an Android charger, an Android repair bed in case any of them gets damaged, a force field, which is big enough to enclose the whole generator, a SkyMind antenna, and then I put both standing electric lights around it for illumination of the immediately surrounding area, and like 8 gun turrets for basic protection. It's not fancy. That's just about the limit of what the one geothermal generator will power. So it works out nicely. Like it powers just exactly the basics. Also, well, there's one more thing. There's also usually a machining table, so if I need to build anything while I'm on the surface gathering stuff. And that's not like for a permanent fortification, because it's not really robust against attack, although Terminators are kind of their own defense. Like my colonists don't really need help defending anything. It's just like the basic emplacement to support resource extraction. So I have all of that on shelves inside my ship somewhere, set aside for away missions, so that when I deploy a team of maybe 8 or 10 Terminators, they can really quickly set up a base that meets all their needs for shelter, for charging, for repair, for basic fabrication, and for wireless connectivity back to the mothership. It's interesting. I mean, it's sort of role-playing. It puts you into the mindset of an Android ship crew and what they would have, the considerations that go into... Did I change the temperature on this? Yes, I did. This is just exactly cold enough to freeze food. Did I remember to change the cooking preferences? I lost a lot of progress because my laptop died recently. If you can't cook lavish meal, cook carnivore meal. If you can't cook carnivore meal, no, not fine meal. They cook, what do I want? Lavish meal X4. Cook a vegan meal if you can't. Vegetarian. No, that's just one. I want X4. Where's X4? And perhaps you're wondering how can I afford this on the fucking moon, where I should be eating paste for every meal because of the efficiency of converting nutrients into paste. It's like 200% efficiency. You get way more calories out of it than you put into it. I have that as like a fallback, but look at the size of my farms. All of this is self-contained and using grow lights and sprinklers on synthetic soil on the surface of the fucking moon. So I don't need to skimp anymore. I had to early on, especially my first Moonbase. My first Moonbase was like a couple of tiny little rooms. It was kind of sad and claustrophobic, like the earliest Hampshires. I'm sorry to say, but we've come a long way since that time. What did I do here? How did this happen? How did I assign all this land? It's weird to say land on the moon. I mean, it is land. It's soil. It's clay. I had to make all of it though out of shredded wood and a fluid, a nutrient fluid called neurotramine. This is what you're supposed to use to make like little green areas in your ship. I don't think it's mainly meant for growing. It's not very good for growing crops. It's not very quick. Hydroponics is much quicker, but I couldn't figure out a good arrangement of hydroponic basins, and they're very resource intensive. Hydroponics is very resource intensive to build. You don't only need to build the troughs, you need to also produce fertilizer to complete them. They also need water. They consume a lot of water. And I need all the water I can get from my life support generators down here, which also make water, by the way, to meet the needs of the guys like this who like to take baths, who like to live in the lap of luxury. And they do live in the lap of luxury. They should be happy. They're mostly happy. The ones that are nerve stapled anyway, because it gives them a permanent plus 50 mood bonus. Some of them are not as happy. The ones I haven't nerve stapled, which are not many at this point. It's not that I want to force them to be happy. I actually don't like to do it because I can't tell how good of a job I'm doing at meeting their needs if they're only happy because I put a chip in their brain. Although that doesn't guarantee happiness, it just gives you a boost in that direction. You need to find one without a brain chip. This is what Neuralink is going to be. Actually, let me turn off the filter so you can hear better and it doesn't sound like an airplane in the background. There we go. That should be a little bit better. I can't promise much. This guy? What about you? This is like The Sims for autists. Quest active. I don't care. I seem to have nerve stapled just about everybody. Like I said, I don't like to do it. I don't feel like I should need the mood bonus. The reason I do it anyway is because of the other function of nerve staples, which is it prevents them from destroying shit when they're angry. Sometimes they throw tantrums, and I can't afford that in a Moonbase because they tend to smash. Here we go. Mood 48.6%. She doesn't have I'm gonna put stranger at the end of this so she's easy to find. She'll be my canary in the coal mine and let me know how I'm really doing. I'll leave her unnerve stapled. And her areas inside. Everybody should be assigned to inside. Let's see. Do I have any? I don't have any resurrector mech serums to spare, do I? I should put some into one of the drop pods. Because I have a dead guy out there. I don't have any to spare, I guess. They'll just have to fucking sit out here and just be dead in the vacuum space. Why did you go out there? Oh, you know what it was? I bet I didn't restrict him to staying inside. That might have been on me. Whoopsie fucking doodle. You need to finish this. This is actually not the most recent version of the base. It's just the one I have to deal with because my laptop's fucked. The most recent version had the farms completely built out and had the solar panels completed. If you haven't noticed, my batteries are not doing great. I've got about 60% power, and I've got a lot of generation capacity too, so it almost balances out, but I'm consuming a little bit more than I'm generating. So it's constantly just trending downwards, and that's not an immediate emergency, but you can see how if I have no place to put all these people, it could be like life-threatening if I don't do something about it. Like, I can't send all these people to the ship. There's just not room in the ship for them. There's not like the ship can support maybe 20 people max. I can't send these people to Antarctica. That has like how much food? That has one synthetic soil bed and that has 4 hydroponics. It's not enough to feed like almost 50 people. This is kind of a permanent do or die endeavor. If this doesn't work, then everybody dies. What are you doing? I did not ask for that. It's JC Denton. Look at this. This is Hampshire kind of the future. This is the giant Hampshire on the moon. All of you are going to live in under my watchful eye. How do you feel about that? Understanding that how you answer that question may determine whether or not I have to nerve stable you. Oh man, I feel bad. I feel bad about what I've done. But again, if you live inside of a fucking glass house and there's a irradiated vacuum outside, you can't have anybody lose their shit. You can't have school shooters on the moon when like one bullet in a window kills everybody. I tried to insulate against that somewhat by having these little blocked areas that double as airlocks, so that if any one of the modules loses pressure, they don't all lose pressure. Before, this was all this one continuous giant hallway without being sectioned off. So if this hallway at any point, especially the most vulnerable spots like here, the junctures in between modules, was penetrated, the whole hallway throughout the entire base was depressurized, and it takes a long time to get back up to temperature too after you seal the hole. So that was not an option. I should probably just have a whole foam distributor in addition. I wonder why I haven't done that yet. I wonder how widely it applies. I'm going to put it here because this thing doesn't do anything. I don't know why the water tank doesn't appear to function at all. I feel it should. It should function. See, sometimes it starts to. It looks like it's about to take on some water. It says piped water stored is 8,000 liters, which means I think that's just the amount in the pipes right now. But then it does this again. I don't know what that means. I don't know why it's not cooperating. I mean, let me put the whole foam distributors here so I don't destroy something that I don't mean to. That I can't get back easily. Uh-oh. I may have done something I didn't mean to do. I don't in point of fact want to destroy the floor there. That will cause a vacuum. This is my aquaculture room. You can kind of see little swimmy bros, little floaty dudes. These are the scrimps. Sometimes you're so hungry you need to use some scrimps. Bro, you know what I mean? So I'm raising little scrimps in here. I don't know what the fuck these are. These are kind of gross and scary. It looks like a xenomorph fetus, or like those mutated amphibians from Existenz. Not really sure. I think they're like an in-universe aquatic organism that doesn't exist in real life. Uh, these are just fish. These are just like sea bass or something, or bluefin tuna. I've got nothing against them. But the shrimps, yum yum, yum yum, motherfucker, eat them up, eat them up, eat them up. I could eat me a whole mess of shrimps, and I will. Probably right after this stream. I have a bunch of frozen ones I got on a cheap deal at the bulk food store, and I found out I can cook them to perfection in about 20 minutes in my rice cooker by steaming them. Where has this information been all my life? I love steamed foods. I love steaming. I love the act of steaming them. What are you doing? Oh. So this is the prison. There's like slavery mods, or there's a prisoner mod that would let me put them to work on farming. I don't do that because, I mean, I'm already committing enough atrocities by turning them into Borg, basically, so I can keep human pets. That's what all of this is. They're not necessary to my plans for robotic galaxy domination. They're just it's like Hampshire or an ant farm. It's just entertainment. The game is actually pretty boring if you play robots because they're kind of OP. Not at first, but eventually they become so OP that you need to start bringing humans in just to keep things interesting. The prisons, to cut down on the workload of the people who have to bring them food, I've put meal trays, which is a special storage shelf with the modifiers so that it doesn't take as long to put things into it or take them out. I can hold 100 packaged meals, which is quite a lot actually. So each of them has their own source of water from the basin, food, TV, and radio. Basic entertainment. They have their own shower and toilet. It's nothing too fancy, but they seem pretty impressed by it if you go to their needs. Extremely comfortable. Very impressive dining room. Very impressive prison cell. So, I guess, it doesn't look that way to me. Looks like a metal box, but I guess the fact that it's made out of metal in Rimworld is considered remarkable. When in the base game, it actually takes quite a lot of resources to make anything out of metal entirely. So these are the storage quadrants. I've used the round areas in the corners as storage of every non-perishable good. All the perishable stuff goes in the freezer quadrant here. But the corners are just general, easy access storage of all the other goods that don't need to be refrigerated. And here's the hospital. I tried to use shuttle landing pads inside the base. I don't know why. It works on spaceships. They can pass through the roof and land inside your ship with no problems. But it doesn't work on the moon. I don't know what I did wrong. But instead, when you land on the moon, it crashes through the roof and depressurizes that whole section. That was a fun one to find out the hard way. Here's the hospital. This section is only for androids. They got shelves for all the extra stuff you need. The medicinal supplies, which I don't have any of right now. That's why I'm growing pharma trees. This is the human section A, human section B. This is like the waiting room. And it's also a break room for doctors, I guess, with a drinking fountain, a radio, and some food trays and trash cans. So these are a godsend, by the way. Their only function is to gradually clean up the room they're in. They largely replace, not entirely, as you can see there's still quite a lot of dirt, but they contribute to keeping the place clean somewhat. Here are the apartments. This is the average housing situation. This is brown quadrant. They're color coded by apartments, or the carpet color. I tried to do like a color wheel. I couldn't quite do it because I didn't have enough shades of different colors, but I did like brown, green, blue, purple, red, orange, yellow, cream, and then brown again. It's the best I could do to have like something resembling a gradient. Does that make this a woke Moonbase? I don't think so. I think this is just so that when I talk about a quadrant, you know which one I mean. And I know where everybody lives, so when I'm looking for somebody, if I remember what color quadrant they're in, I can just zoom in from the God's eye view, and usually find them sleeping. Everybody sleeps at the same time, by the way. There's a definite day and night artificially on the moon. Uh, the solar panels suggest they do gain and lose power, so there is like a sunrise and sunset, but it never actually gets dark. I don't understand why. I'm starting to think this is not like a conventionally rendered map, but just floor tiles placed over a space background. Because there is no air here. You cannot use wind turbines. I tried. There's no oxygen and no airflow of any kind naturally. There is wind noise. You can hear the wind up here, which is weird. That shouldn't be the case. I don't know why they didn't remove that. This is the... well, first of all, this is the workshop. So let's look at the sax console. It's got all the different little cubicles for making different kinds of goods. It's got the research bench, which doesn't need the architect module because I've already done all the architect research. So this lets me continue to research new things, which is necessary because if I install any new mods, there's going to be more research to do. My goal is to make it totally independent of the ship. So everything I need is on the moon and is self-sufficient as long as I can continue to extract in-situ resources. This guy is making something, I don't know what it is. It's got a crematorium for dead bodies. It's got a recyclotron, also potentially for dead bodies. It's got chemical processors, a bunch of them for turning... Have I assigned that? I have not yet. It's specifically clear only scraps. So I have something I can do with plant scraps. We don't want to throw away food to make a chem fuel. I forgot to do this. There we go. Again, I got set back a lot by losing progress when my laptop fucked itself to death. These are the ground penetrating scanners. They find mineral deposits on the moon. I guess because I'm stupid, I built most of this out of materials shipped from the Earth, which is... I know better than that, but for some reason it didn't occur to me. The other difficulty is that a lot of the mineral deposits are underneath solar panels and shit in the middle here. So it's not as easy as it seems like it would be to get at them. Let's put a power supply there. This will enable us to extract some metals over here. You get your metal ass over here and install that manometric power source. Interesting lore in this game. There's a reason why you can't scale up manometric power supplies beyond 1,000 watts. There's also a reason why their warp drives work funny. It's not really warp at all. It's continuous like momentum transfer between two stars, but it doesn't travel at the speed of light. Or it's just continuous thrust, basically. So you approach the speed of light, but you never cross it. That's why you have cryo caskets. Or crypto caskets, I guess, in the lingo of the game. This is not a hate symbol. This is a friendship windmill. It's not connected in the middle. I just put it that way because I like radial symmetry. and that's an efficient layout that happens to fit nicely with the solar panels, given that the batteries are 3 units wide and tall and 5 units wide, and the solar panels are 5 by 5. So don't at me. The question is if I can fucking build out additional power generation before they all die. I guess I mean if I had a backup supply of power, which is what I'm working on here, I just don't have enough fuel for it. It wouldn't be a big deal. I could turn this on as the backup until I get the solar panels built. But I don't have the fuel for that yet. Also, if this was on the surface of the Earth, I could just turn on the natural gas backup. This is my polar colony, by the way. If you're wondering what the fuck this is a nature simulator dome. It's covered in skylights, so they can see the sky, at least during the half of the year that it's light out. It simulates seasonal light and dark cycles that really occur at the North Pole. The floor is grass. It's just natural grass. To do that, I had to collect soil from other parts of the world. You can't get it from ice, obviously. And Mechanoids fucking broke this, so it's actually currently cold inside. It's not ideal. Them Mechanoids won't fucking leave me alone, I tell you what. The idea is to just give them a place to satisfy their outdoor requirement. I don't know if you can tell. They each have a outdoors meter. And I don't want humans going outdoors because oftentimes they prefer to be nude for whatever reason. I think they can't satisfy their clothing requirements because I never started making clothes because most of my guys are robots. Anyway, this lets them have a place they can go fish and run around and stretch their legs and feel like they're outdoors in a more hospitable part of the Earth. Or at least it's supposed to. You need to fucking repair this. This has got to get fixed ASAP. Because this place is cold inside. This is another recreational dome. It doesn't really serve a purpose except for vanity and comfort. It's obviously a simulation of a downtown intersection in an urban neighborhood with brick buildings with interior wooden walls. Everyone has a pool, two hot tubs, a bathroom fully portioned with a clothes washer, a kitchen with a dining table, a bedroom. Each one also has a business to support it. Shit, that's awful. What was wrong with it, Xenombine? What cost that much? So anyway, they have a business like to support them to also complete the illusion. This is like those buildings, those houses you sometimes see in cities where they have like a business on the ground floor and everyone lives on the floor up from that. Dog, what are you doing in the bathroom? You don't even know how to use it. Get out of the bathtub, dog. Don't you go in there. Don't you get in the bathtub. Someone clogged the toilet. Was it you? Was it you? Nice royal beds. They got a wooden computer desk. This house has a bar. So they have a bar to relax at. They're supposed to put alcohol here, but they don't always do it. I should actually get rid of these. There's a better thing I can build now. Besides a meal tray. This one's got like a bodega. It just sells all kinds of shit. So this is just like a little shop. It's like an RPG shop. You got street lamps. You got wooden decks. Everybody gets a garden, although it's currently, I think, too cold in here to grow anything. No, it's warm. It's 70 degrees. I guess actually, yeah, I guess this one is growing. What is that? Dandelions. Charming. This one's growing bluebells. For some reason, it's harder to keep shit warm on Earth. I guess because of wind chill. It must simulate wind carrying away heat. Because just the ship heaters, these things built in the walls, were not enough to warm up the interior. I also needed all these supplemental heaters. It takes a lot of energy all around the clock to heat a giant enclosed indoor space at the North Pole. I guess that shouldn't surprise me, but it does. And just this one reactor is not enough to power everything either. It would be if I had all the fuel put in there, but I need these supplemental mini reactors that I can turn on and off as energy flow fluctuates, energy consumption I should say, and these batteries which kind of tell me whether more energy is coming in or going out. Right now more energy is going out, which means I need to have somebody refuel this reactor. The main limitation of this colony... Oh shit, I remember having to replace the coolant pump. That was $600 for me. New and used cars? Which one? Compared to what, if they're both expensive? Yeah, I had that problem. My disc brakes, or the rotors, whatever that is, were like scraped up because the brake pads were worn out. I had new brake pads put in, and the problem was the previous driver had been driving without regen turned on. The last guy just rode it seemingly like a gas vehicle and didn't charge it. It would be fun in Minecraft. I also wish there was canonical space like the moon in Minecraft, and you could had to build like domes that could hold in air pressure out of metal or glass, and not every material would work for that. I guess being able to build underwater is good enough, but it would be really cool to be able to build like heated Antarctic dome cities in Minecraft. Yeah, me either. My car was used. Here's the recreational module. It's also the kitchen and has bar seating. This is a computer which I haven't used in ages. This is the other computer. I can't use this one because the AI that goes to it is insane and is really upset all the time. It's mainly a backup. In case everybody down here dies, I'll have one person I can generate out of light to fix shit. This is the gambling area. I mean, there's also darts. There's an arcade machine, a couple arcade machines. There's a piano. There's mega ultra screen televisions. This is like where the boomers hang out on the cruise ship. This is the holodeck area, marked out in red. Got a pool down here. A lot of pools. It took fucking IRL weeks to fill these pools. They take a lot of water. The main limitation, like I said, is the food production. I didn't think that far ahead. I didn't think when I started building this I was going to have that many humans. I just got addicted to it. You need a lot of stuff to care for humans. I guess this is an advertisement for birth control. You guys get up and go back to working. I don't care about your mood. This is storage. All the storage is kept cold. Here's the heat map. Lab is a bit warm. I don't know why. I guess because that's adjacent to the cold section. They traffic a lot and I want the leaking heat. Lab has cloning vats, has nuclear research stations, has whatever this is, electrolyzer, all the really like advanced equipment. This one's turned off because it takes a lot of power all the time. It's 65,000 watts just doing nothing. I can't justify that. And all it does is make advanced forms of matter you only need for certain really high-tech stuff I've never used, like a fusion reactor. A fusion reactor might be cool, but fission is honestly good enough as it is. If I had to do it over again, I probably wouldn't have installed Rimatomics once I found out there was a nuclear missile alternative that was much cheaper to make. It is cool to have though, and it's fun to operate, so I guess it serves its purpose. This is the cool shit though. Being able to turn this on supplies heat and light and powers certain appliances on gas. So during those times when the shit gets dicey, and it does get dicey sometimes, like when I'm expanding my power plants or reducing them, and I have a shortfall in power generation, everybody would freeze to death if I didn't have something to turn on that would make up the difference and let me save power without compromising on heating or lighting. So if I flip this switch, let me show you the network. Power. Here's the gas pipe network, the green lines. It goes everywhere. And powers every electric light has a secondary gas light that's turned off next to it. When the electric lights turn off and I turn the gas on, the gas lights turn on to take over. So there's two systems built into every module, and there's also gas heaters to take over for the electric heaters when those lose power. It's really nice to have at the North Pole, because it'll fucking kill you if your base loses power, but it'll bleed heat. It doesn't get cold all at once, but it does bleed heat pretty quickly. I don't have that on the moon. I don't have natural gas up here. And there was a natural gas well someplace. I built over it, though I had to. It was in the way of progress. That would have been really nice to have, actually. I'm kind of bummed. Oh, Tiger fucking went outside without a spacesuit. Why did you do that? Why would you do such a thing? I probably didn't restrict them to the interior. It would be nice to have up here, because this is a really fragile bubble of technology in an absolutely lethal place, as you have just seen. They can't. It's not like at the North Pole where they can go outside and they'll survive a little while, even if they're not properly dressed for it. Here, you fucking die if you go outside. So I can't tolerate power outages up here. If the power goes out, so does the oxygen. It's not even the heating that's the problem, although it's negative 148 fucking degrees outside. So, until I get enough fuel. When I get enough fuel for this reactor, it won't be an issue. I can just fire up the reactor whenever power is running low. But until then, I'm in a precarious spot. I need to really hurry to keep building out these solar panels and connecting them to the rest of the colony faster than the energy can deplete. And I just need to keep adding new capacity as I continue to scale up power consumption. And you might say, why not just conserve energy? I can't because this is a farming colony. It uses grow lamps. Every grow lamp is 2.7 kilowatts, and I use like 100 fucking grow lamps. It's harrowing. It's just a balancing act. It's like spinning a bunch of different plates and not letting any of them crash to the floor. That's what makes it fun, though. The stakes are high. These are all my pets, basically. They're my beloved little creatures, and I have painted them into a corner. I put them someplace really naturally dangerous, where if I don't solve all the problems facing their little bottle world, then they fucking asphyxiate. Yeah, and why it's getting hammered. What's going on in New York? I know it's still winter, but 7 degrees, Jesus. This Rimworld. Oh, hey, they finished this farm and this one. There's only one that needs finishing now. This is where I temporarily am growing all the neurotramine needed to build synthetic soil. I got all this wood from Earth. I can't grow trees. I don't know why. It just won't let me do it. I have to be careful with heel root too. It turns out, oddly, large quantities of heel root are poisonous. There's an essential oil in them where if your little pawns wander through huge fields of field root, they eventually get downed from being high or something. And eventually, when I no longer have need for neurotramine, which will be fairly shortly, although I should still grow it to make medicine with, probably. This is going to be rice in the near future. This is going to be meat. This is currently meat. This is like a genetically engineered plant that grows synthetic meat. It's like Beyond Burgers, which is a much more economical source than this. These are really inefficient. but it produces different types of meat for variety from different fishes and shrimps and whatnot. So I'm going to grow this over here. So we have two giant sections dedicated to food production. This smoke leaf, probably. One of these is going to be this will probably stay cotton because I'm going to keep needing cotton for clothing and for carpeting until the carpets are done. One of these will be devil strand, probably this one, because I want to grow devil strand for clothes so they can wear clothing and not run around nude all the time. Heel root, I want to say amaryllis, which is a type of mushroom. Devil strand is a mushroom too, but amaryllis doesn't need light, and devil strand does. It's really weird. I don't know why. There are a couple of crops that don't need light. Vanna root is one of them. I don't really care for vanna root though. I don't have any use for it. It's just like rice basically. Rice that doesn't need light. I fucking guess I could use them to do experimental, extreme harsh environment colonies and take full advantage of their engineered attributes. I haven't done that yet. It is streamlined dwarf fortress. It's made more approachable. It's sci-fi dwarf fortress, but this is with a mod that lets you build in space, basically. Normally, you don't really get to do anything in space in Rimworld except view the world map. This lets you build spaceships like this one. It lets you use spaceship parts to build bases on the planet, and also it gives you at one point the option to build on the moon. It also gave me the option to build in an entirely underground cavern world, which I turned down. I dismissed that settlement. I'm kicking myself for it. It would have been really cool to have. I don't know any way to instantiate that map again. If I ever start completely over, I'm going to keep that one. There's also a map that was basically just a giant space colony, but you can't keep that one, I don't think. Because after you defeat it, it burns up in the atmosphere no matter what you do after about 1.7 days. So I couldn't keep that one. But the moon doesn't go away. It doesn't burn up in the atmosphere. After you defeat the mechanoids here for one of the missions, the story mode missions, if you don't manually dismiss it, it just persists. It just stays there. So I kept it. I was like, what the fuck? Why would I not want a free moon? It's free real estate, bro. I mean, it's expensive to build anything on that humans can live inside of, but it's free land, kind of. A colony is nothing but a ship without propulsion or weapons or computers or sensors, just sitting on the surface of the moon. I also could have built this in space, I think, but I don't think it lets you have two ships. If you want to, you can peacefully operate a space station, and ships won't attack you if you don't have a control console. It doesn't register it as a ship if you don't have a computer and a control console. So if you just want a giant space colony in orbit, you can, but there's not really a reason to do that because it's extremely expensive to build in terms of the raw materials, and you don't get any benefit from being in space other than access to other ships. Fighting other ships gives you a continuous source, rich abundant source of metals, components, advanced components, and all the other things that are in short supply on the planet. It basically makes all the rare items post scarcity, but you have to have weapons. You have to be able to fight other ships. Otherwise, it just becomes a back-breakingly expensive project, the purpose of which is only just to build a home in space. You could do that. You could build a halo. Not a halo, but like if you just built a giant single, like a donut, you could build a ring and put all like the nuclear reactors to power it in the middle, and then have the entire ring be synthetic soil with different kinds of plants. Have I talked about this? I swear I have. What I wanted to see for Halo Infinite was an actual Is there air in here? There is. Good. I wanted to see like an actual level geometry, an engine capable of rendering a bishop ring as a real level geometry you can interact with every part of, like Starship Evo. I just want Starship Evo, but Halo basically. I don't see any reason to make a new Halo if it's not going to be like that. And I know it's possible because not only does Starship Evo do it, but I played a VR chat map that renders an entire 2-scale 1-to-1 O'Neill cylinder that you can stand inside of. And at first I couldn't believe it. I wrote a whole article with screenshots about it. I was like, this can't be what it looks like. This has got to be just like the ground area I'm standing in, surrounded by a really big, impressive skybox. It was not a skybox. It blew my mind. You can actually walk around in simulated spin gravity. You can actually drive a car. There are cars you can get into and drive along the highways inside the O'Neill cylinder to get, and you stick to the outside of it, like how gravity really would work. And there's like a natural park areas, and there's farmland. I'm more interested in O'Neill cylinders. I think that because they're smaller, like living on a Halo doesn't seem like it'd be that different from living on a planetary surface. An O'Neill cylinder is smaller. It gives you the openness and unconfined feeling of a planetary surface, but everything's small enough that it wraps around visibly, like in a much more immediate way, where you can look up and see like a lake, like a mile above you. Yeah, what was the point? Imagine a Halo game where you actually can inhabit a Halo, or like my idea was the storyline is that humanity is building their own smaller Halo in order as a tool to set off a chain reaction that will disable all the Halos in the galaxy instead of activating them. And because it's made by humanity, there's an explanation for why it's smaller scale. But the Covenant land on it in order to destroy it in retribution for what you did in Combat Evolved. And part of in the same way that I think Halo 3 or 4, I don't remember which one it was, took place on multiple different space habitats. You would also spend some of your time in an O'Neill cylinder, which would be like a base in support of the ring construction, fighting off Coveys. Or maybe human insurrectionists. So the engine would get shown off in terms of showing how it can render huge real-time structures that you actually can walk on and can travel to any part of. Like, remember the flying mission in Halo Reach where you get like a helicopter? Not exactly. It's like an Avatar VTOL. And you can, but you're in an O'Neill cylinder, so you're not like flying in a straight line. You can take off and fly to any other part of the cylinder, or even in a bishop ring, where if you fly up too high, you're in space, and your vehicle stalls. You can basically fly the full length of the ring and land anywhere on it at any time of your choosing. The ultimate in open world games. Why have we not seen that? I want O'Neill cylinders, goddammit, and I want them now. I want them yesterday. I want pictures, Parker. Pictures of Spider-Man. Pictures of Spider-Man in O'Neill cylinders. There's also not an O'Neill cylinder city builder. We now have, thank God, praise Poseidon, 2 underwater city builders. But how many O'Neill cylinder city builders do we have? I've seen one space colony building game where you're in like a donut. You're in like a torus. And you can build whatever you want in the different sections of the torus. But that was like from 2002. So it has like shit primitive graphics. Imagine like a glorious City Skylines tier modern graphics game, which is like a city builder but set in an O'Neill cylinder habitat, where you can decide the use cases for different parcels of land like SimCity. But you can also purchase extensions of the cylinder to a maximum length, and then you can purchase additional cylinders that go around like a rotating carousel cluster, where the cylinders counter rotate to compensate for like rotational stresses. And you have to deal with like spaceborne threats, like shooting down asteroids and whatnot, and popular uprisings against the administration. That would be cool. I would like it. I'd play the shit out of that. Then again, I said I would play an underwater city builder, and I haven't touched either one of those since they came out. I'm waiting. I'm waiting for. They're in early access still. I'm waiting for them to fix some of the bugs and make changes. I really, really don't like that both of them, both Surviving the Abyss and Aquatico, have fossil fuels being burned underwater for power, and have a bunch of other weird inaccuracies that don't really make sense in an underwater setting, because they didn't want to hire anybody who knew what they were talking about. I approached both of them. This is my bitterness a little bit speaking. I did approach both of them while the game was in development and offered my insights, and I'm not the only person to point out these problems. They didn't listen. They didn't want to throw any money my way, so they came out with games where you burn coal and oil, respectively, underwater to make power, and you have to filter the air for purity, because I guess the coal exhaust goes into the air that they breathe, or did they mean CO2 scrubbing? It's hard to say. I guess so. I don't have to like it. Did you finish fixing the wall ever? Okay, they almost finished it. They didn't quite. You need to finish this wall. Oh, he's not assigned. Why are you not? There we go. He's still working on it. I'm working on it. Look at the Doge. Oh, he's starving. Why are you starving? There's food. There's plenty of food. You know what? That's your business. Probably shouldn't put meat in here. You know what? I need to turn this on. Do you cook? No. Actually, 4x, wouldn't it be? I can't afford lavish meals at the ice cap because I don't have enough grow space. I don't actually cultivate that many. This one, however, has to change. This one can't include meat because meat spoils at room temperature. That was a really bad usage of meat. This is gonna go bad in like 1.5 days. Why did you put it here? I didn't have enough room to do what I did in the Moon Colony, where the hoppers are all inside of a refrigerated area while the spout for the paste machine is not. I just didn't think of it when I designed this place, and these modules are too small. This was designed under starvation conditions when I didn't have a lot of resources yet, because my ship was still struggling to win battles. So I designed around a smaller, more humble module size that I could expand little by little, one module at a time, without breaking the bank and gain much needed extra living space. I just economized the fuck out of every square inch of it. Here's my prison. There's an indoctrination pod, which I haven't figured out how to use. The problem with storing it outside in nature's freezer, as you put it, is that it's exposed to the elements and it deteriorates if it's outside. So I just have these rooms and I don't heat them. I let them assume ambient temperature. Actually, I do heat them. I heat them up to... So, like, it's warm. It's warmer than outside, but it's not too warm. It keeps everything frozen, but it's not, like, painfully cold for people who go in there. It's funny, you have to fucking heat your freezer in in the North Pole. Got hit by some meteors here. Nobody has mined anything yet. Let me see what the work assignments are. Oh, there's the problem. I tried specializing assignments once upon a time, believing that was what was making everything run terribly. And it turns out I was wrong about that, so... Oh, he's refueling the reactor, finally. If I had known Rimatomics reactors were going to be so useless, I would have just kept this as additional space for mini reactors. These things are just perfectly fine. They're cheap and easy resource-wise to manufacture fuel pods for. It's just like metal component and uranium. The only good thing about these is that the power output is enormous. Each one of these turbines makes 1 megawatt. For comparison, this makes, I think, 3 kilowatts at the highest setting. And at overdrive 1. At overdrive 1, where it burns fuel less efficiently, it makes 3 kilowatts, which is usually how I run some of them on that setting. So 3 kilowatts versus 1,000 kilowatts for like one of these, and the fuel necessary to feed all of its and also cooling towers. They're not super compact, but they're just monstrously powerful. Which is why I decided to keep it in the end. That and also the extra energy weapons it comes with. Rail guns and whatnot. These turned out to be really handy. So I kept the mod installed. Despite my misgivings about the reactors not being that great. And I designed a compact mini reactor that goes on the ship that can also enrich plutonium out of uranium for weapons. Although I can't actually use any of that on here. And 2 of these just barely fit in the unused space. So this is, what is it? I forget how much these are. I want to say 300, 400 kilowatts? No, actually, I think it's, each of these is 100 kilowatts. And they're 200 kilowatts total, which is why a single transformer is enough for both of these. And I had to put things in weird places because I was running out of space. I had to fit a lot of shit into this one force field in order to make a single shield ship, which was my goal, was to condense everything into the most compact space possible. All these out here are the heat sinks. They shouldn't work because they're air coolers and they're in space, but it does work anyway. I don't know. Yeah, that's a bad feel, Hail Hydra. Having bad Chinese food ruins your whole fucking day. Especially mall Chinese food. I don't even mean Panda Express. I mean like the tier below Panda Express. Like the all-you-can-eat $10 buffet Chinese quality. Where it's like that guy in that viral video ladling used cooking oil or Szechuan oil out of the fucking trash can into a pot so he can use it again. That's like the quality we're talking about. And their commercials are like Tim and Eric, awesome show, great job tier. This is like non sequiturs. So these are crowd dispersal. In case I do get a boarding party, these don't damage them. They don't injure anybody, but they keep them away. They keep them at arm's length. Which is important because if they get too close, they can attack the weapons directly, and it sets off a chain reaction of explosions that would destroy like all of this. So these will keep them about here from getting too close, while these weapons charge railguns, shoot at them, and these if they get any closer, then the Tesla coils will fry the fuck out of them. Man, China is the land of beauty and wonder, but also horror. What I want to know is what's going on with Chinese escalators. They can't stop eating people. Chinese escalators are just hungry for human flesh. They're like, raw, feed me, Chinese shoppers. I keep watching videos on LiveLeak, or sites similar to LiveLeak anyway, where people fall into escalators. Oh fuck, we got xenomorphs. Oh, please don't be... Oh, there's already a breach here. Oh, fuck my rotten luck. Why? Why did there have to be a breach in the fence right exactly? Okay, you know what? I'm not going to waste my time getting mad about something I can solve easily. Like I said, you don't really need defenses when you're colonists or terminators. You can just do this. Search, activate search and destroy mode. The 6 humans will stay inside anyway. Let's see how these charge turrets do. The shitty fucking thing about xenomorphs is they're stealthy. So, you see how they're see-through? This means that your defense systems don't know where they are until they spot them. And they can go completely invisible if they're far enough away from any observer, which is how they evade detection. And they can get into your base, and they can lay an egg, and the egg can infect one of your favorite colonists without you ever noticing it. And then there's a chest burster. And then it turns into a fucking alien movie. The whole life cycle is simulated. They're really quite insidious. I don't know why I downloaded this mod, except I'm a fan of the movies. What is this one? That's a runner. You got a lot of runners. That's quite a lot of fucking xenomorphs. What are these? Okay, the warriors. This is a... We got a couple... We got 1 or 2 drones. Drones are not too bad. They're not that tough. The runners are a little bit tougher, and the warriors are the real problem. I didn't say to do that, computer. Bitch. See, okay. Have you detected? You have not detected them. You useless fucking thing. Shoot. Shoot! For God's sake, shoot at them! They can't be that stealthy. They're not even getting shot at. I hate you! You are... Why did I install this mod? These are the worst enemy to deal with. They're as tough as mega spiders. I wish I could shoot these guys from orbit, but I would destroy my own infrastructure. Why are you not shooting? None of you are shooting. I don't. Oh, there we go. Thank God. See, once it actually does detect them, they're quite effective. But these stealthy bastards. This is not going to end well for me. Turrets explode when damaged enough, and then they set off a chain reaction of explosions of nearby turrets. Like that. They also spit acid. They have a ranged attack. Turrets, please. The upside is it also doubles landmines, like you just saw. It fucking kills a lot of... It kills more xenomorphs by exploding than it ever did by shooting them. Problem is they're running up against my outer wall. I should really position them more intelligently. And there goes my luxury dome. This is why we can't have nice things. Xenomorphs. Xenomorphs are why we can't have nice things. If ever you wondered what the specific reason was. Could shit stop exploding? For 5 seconds, please. Is that so much to ask? Why are you running away now? Maybe I do need landmines. would worry about my colonists, though, especially the robots. The robots have the run of the place. Where are my Terminators at? Are you guys on the scene yet? Yeah, I'm gonna let go and let God. I'm going to let Jesus take the wheel, so to speak. These robots are tough enough that I don't really have to worry about what's going to happen. I've seen what they can do. They're kind of scary. The thing is, they're not actually as OP as you would assume. They're like, I want to say 2.5 times as tough, as strong and HP as a human. So, they're not unkillable gods like the architect droids were. I actually got rid of that mod because it was too OP. I just felt like I was cheating. They're killable. I almost always lose at least 1 or 2 in a medium to large assault. What's going on here? Did I get him? Wait. I only see 1 mechanoid. I think I got all but 1. Let me try to nail this guy from orbit. It's like shooting fish in a barrel from 1,100 miles away. We retarget immediately. Cover my bases. This is just kinetic orbital bombardment. Because I don't want to use a nuke. Nukes take a little while. You missed it, Hail Hydra. I actually teleported a nuclear warhead aboard an enemy ship earlier and took it out in one hit. I mean, obviously. I beamed it to their bridge, pretty much, and they didn't know what to do about it. A bunch of guys gathered around it, like, wondering what it was. And it blew a huge hole in the middle of their ship, and that was the end of the battle. Apparently didn't kill everyone, though, oddly. You'd think it would. I shudder to think at what a nuke would do to this base. This is already just exactly what's necessary for all these people to survive. It goes to show how fragile our society is. Like, not physically, but logistically, our society is very fragile. We can only exist because of modern industrialized agriculture, which relies on a lot, like a constant influx of potash, of phosphor, of like potassium, like all these chemical elements to maintain the productivity. People don't realize how overstretched nature is, keeping all of us fed. That's the real danger behind overpopulation and climate change. It's not that we're all going to bake alive. Because like 1.1 to 2 degrees higher temperatures are not a problem for humans in terms of like heat stroke. That's not the danger, and it never was. The danger is to agriculture. Like our current agricultural abundance is a very delicate thing, and we saw it in the disruption to logistics that happened when a dumbass turned his container ship sideways in the Panama Canal. How little it takes to disrupt the whole supply chain, especially with just-in-time shipping, and how many people suffer, and how many shortages there are, and how much inflation there was, partially as a consequence of that. What are y'all eating? Y'all having, is that vegetarian, or is that the meat one? Oh, it's actually a lavish meal. It has both meat and veg. I may make a diversity of different meal types, so that they, everybody... I don't actually keep track of who's vegan and who's a carnivore. I just make all 3 meal types, and people take what they want. But yeah, if anything were to significantly disrupt and pop the fragile bubble that is modern industrialized agriculture, that it would cause like a ripple effect. It would cause political destabilization, looting, rioting, shootings, robbings of people who they thought hungry. You know, people get ugly when they're mad, when they're hungry. You're not. It's like Snickers commercials. You're not yourself when you're hungry. What's pretty awesome, Hail Hydra? The prospect of mass disruptions if industrial agriculture breaks down, or some aspect of the colony I have shown so far. I'm proud of it. It's not an exaggeration to call this a city. It'll support 64 people if nobody's in a relationship. But since every room has a double bed, if everybody's in a relationship, it supports 128. Therefore, the true number it supports is somewhere between 64 and 128. I want to say around 100 people realistically. If a good portion, but not everybody, is romantically. Well, yeah. Well, doesn't that make you wonder why they never do that in Star Trek? I was talking about that earlier. Like, if you knock down the enemy shields in Star Trek, what's to stop you from beaming a photon torpedo to their deck? And then I thought, wouldn't it be funny if they got into like a hot potato match where like Picard beams a photon torpedo to like a Romulan warbird, and like, oh fuck, and they shit their pants, but they beam it back to him, and they beam it back to the Romulans, and the Romulans beam it back to the Enterprise, back and forth as the timer ticks down, and whoever has it last loses. Teleporting a nuke is OP though. I'm contemplating, I'm not committing, but I'm contemplating installing a mod that extends SOS2 storyline. So there's bigger and badder ships to fight, and even better materials to make your ship out of, and better weapons to use. And I'm apprehensive because I could probably one-shot any ship in that whole DLC just by simply beaming a nuke to their bridge. But that would require my ship's shields to be able to hold out long enough to do that. Currently, my strategy is my ship is just barely powerful enough to overcome the flagships, the highest tier ships, as long as my capacitors are fully charged at the beginning of the fight. Which they aren't, and as long as I have plenty of silver. Because I don't have any radiators. I couldn't make room for them. I had to maximize solar generation. I get rid of heat entirely using molten silver, which is supposed to be like a last-ditch method. I rely completely on it because it allowed me to build a higher performance ship that just has a very expensive way of getting rid of waste heat. But it's not a problem for me because I don't trade. I don't need money. Silver is money in this universe, and you only need money if anyone will trade with you. No one will trade with me because I kill everyone I meet immediately, and then I take their shit, and then I recycle their ship into more robots and more ship stuff. So I'm kind of beyond money. I don't need allies. I don't need anything like that. Everything that's not me dies immediately, and then I consume the remains and use it for my purposes. Except for my chosen ones, these humans are allowed to live under the condition that they receive a nerve staple at the very least, and many of them, in fact, are... let's choose one as an example. There's Bart. Many of them are quite cyberized. I cyberize them as much as I possibly can. Some of them I leave natural, just as like a control group. Just to have a variety of different colonists, but most of them have quite a lot of implants, which you would think would improve their stats more than it does. Only Architect implants are really worth it, except for one factor. Robot arms and legs don't bleed when shot. That's a critical advantage. That's actually their biggest advantage. What usually kills your pawn in battle is bleeding out. And usually, if they're wearing armor, armor covers like your torso, but not your arms and legs. Not without another mod. So if you have arms and legs made out of metal, then they can shoot you up and you don't bleed. It might slow you down, but you don't die from blood loss. So actually, if your pawns are fully cybernetic, as much as you can possibly make them, and they're wearing power armor, they're pretty much as good as an android. Not completely. They're closer anyway. Not to say that's good enough, though. I remember trying to fight mechanoids the first time. You can just about fight mechanoids if you have a bunch of pawns in marine armor with full cybernetics. But that's what it takes. I guess that's because it's balanced against what's supposed to be the most brutal enemy in the game. You're supposed to level up to where you can just barely beat them for gameplay balance. I'm kind of well beyond that line now. I've kind of gone a little crazy. I don't even have that many mods, but the mods I do have let me completely BTFO mechanoids just with my default pawns. They get fucked up a lot. Like this one's dead. They get busted up. Let me clean up corpses. But it's okay. I can afford to lose them because they don't have brains. They're just remote control. This is the real brain. As long as nothing happens to this is Skymine Core. This is basically Skynet. As long as this doesn't get destroyed, or as long as nobody destroys these antennas, which are all safely aboard my flagship, I'm fine. If anybody somehow worked out a way to destroy my antennas or Skymine, all my Terminators would just drop dead. Or not drop dead, but they'd be down. They'd go inactive. I forgot I still had human prisoners. Why do I have those? I think I'll move them down to the Arctic base. We have enough people at the Moonbase already. This thing's armed with the fucking teeth. It's a mean looking ship. Here's my silver storage. I have more silver than I know what to do with because I never need to buy anything. Here's my Archelopes, which are a genetically engineered animal that shits out this stuff, which are exotic particles, which is just another word for antimatter. And my engines run entirely on Archelope shit. I guess it's milk. I guess it's like the blue milk from The Last Jedi that old Mark Hamill drinks. But I have to cultivate a lot of them on board, and I can never kill any of them because they are full of antimatter. So if one of them dies, it sets off an antimatter explosion, which sets off a chain reaction. So on top of this whole ship completely destructing, if anybody shoots me right here, up the butthole, and hits my reactor, causing a meltdown, if anybody hits me exactly right here, through this gap, and hits me right here, it would completely fucking destroy everything in this radius. This ship actually has quite a lot of weaknesses, which are unavoidable when you have to condense everything and make it this space efficient. There's at least 2 places you could one-shot this ship, where if you hit it in that just the right way, it's like the Death Star. I've designed the Death Star. There's no way around it. I'm the big dum-dum. Big sexy dum-dum. With my sexy double-cheeked up dum-dum dumpy. Oh yeah, robots can't rebel against me. I forgot about that. I am Skynet. Any robots who don't like their lot in life and have mental breaks just get disabled. I have, I think, 100 consciousnesses copy. Once you upload, here's what I did. In order to have a immortal army of perfect robots with 20 stats, all their stats are 20. Look at this. How I did that was I had one colonist. I started out with the android progenitor. You start out with one perfect T5 robot as your first colonist, your founder. But you can't upload I can't find a way to. You can't upload android consciousness to SkyMind as the basis of its own consciousness. It has to be a human consciousness. But I found a workaround. I found a little mod called Dubious Ethics, which adds cloning vats. These lovely guys. And it also includes brain scanning templates, so you can make an upload of a human or android intelligence, and you can copy that into the body of the clone. So you can basically have immortality of the same pawn copying their stats to a younger body over and over. It just copies all their traits, it copies all their stats and all their attributes. Like basically all the stuff on this page gets copied to the clone. So I made a brain scan of my T5 robot with all the great stats. I applied that brain scan to a human clone. Then I sacrificed the clone to SkyMind Core, which kills it. I uploaded the brain. Thus I had a single consciousness inside SkyMind Core to start with perfect stats. But once you have one, there's a function here, replicate, which lets you make copies. It takes a long time, but you can make copies. And every copy that you make takes the same amount of time to make a copy of it. So once I had 2 copies of the consciousness, getting to 4 took the same amount of time. And it took the same amount of time to get from 4 to 8, and the same amount of time to get from 8 to 16. I just kept copying until I had about 100, I think. Actually, no, not 100, because, let's see. I think I only have 60, actually. Correction. The reason I have 60 only is because each of these towers can only support 15. And my computer can't handle that many pawns anyway, so I can only ever have 60 Terminators, but that's ample. 10 Terminators would be all I need. So my goal is basically just to wipe the Earth clean of all life, which I mostly have done. Prevent mechanoids from gaining a foothold. Kill every ship I come across. Establish hostile environment outposts. Which I would have liked to have one underground, but that's no longer an option now. And having one underwater would have been cool. But anyway, once I complete the Moonbase, I'm going to put everybody in cryosleep, and then I'm going to travel to the next planet and kill everybody there, and then come back and see if they're still in the cryo caskets. I don't know if they will be. What happens when you warp away from a planet is that centuries pass in game. So the same people would, if you just left them wandering around, would die of old age. And whoever is your most closely aligned faction takes over your colonies in your absence. So what I expect, I might be wrong. I expect to come back and find another faction inhabiting my colonies, but my original colonists should still be frozen in their cryptosleep caskets. So all I do is I open all the cryptosleep caskets, assign everybody to search and destroy, and make an enemy out of the faction, and then just slaughter. Or, actually it might be easier than that. All I would really have to do is turn off life support. I just send my Terminators in to switch these off, to claim them and switch them off. I might want to make it easier to do that, come to think of it. I don't know if I actually get a benefit from having 4 of these. And then everybody currently in the base asphyxiates. And then I burn the bodies, and I bring my own colonists out of cryosleep, and they take over again. I don't like having these in the rooms, but there's no other place to put them. You would think there'd be ample space, but I use every square inch of this. None of this is superfluous. All this is used for farming. All this is used for reasonably sized apartments. They have public bathrooms, so I don't have to make room for bathrooms in the rooms, which is kind of gross if you think about it, having your toilet in your bedroom. These are little social areas with TVs, with drinking fountains, with music, and with public dispensers of non-refrigerated, non-perishable food packets. It's like camping food, kind of. It's like astronaut food. I like to have those available everywhere, as well as bathrooms, so nobody shits their pants. They don't like to shit their pants. It makes them quite unhappy, understandably. I guess I would be too. Not that I would know what that's like. We're not going to turn this into Hamdad pants shitting stories. Everybody has at some point in their life, though. It's not only a me thing. Everyone's going to be like, actually, no, almost nobody does. It's like the book Everybody Poops, and the sequel, Nobody Poops But You, Freak. Get up. Oh, alright, that one actually has completely disconnected. Two of those have disconnected. I abuse these robots pretty bad, though, to be fair. They often go catatonic or throw murderous fits. And they get nowhere with it because they're under the absolute oppression of Skynet. Oh, I forgot she was out here. I think they're probably unhappy about an unburied corpse. They don't tend to look too kindly upon that kind of thing. And make sure all the cables are built. The cables are built, okay. We really need to build out power generation. I've already explained why. We're losing battery power very slowly. It's a creeping death. We're at 5,823, and it's going... Well, it's going down now because it's nighttime. It'll go back up, but the problem is it won't go back up as much. If we go to manager and monitor our power consumption versus our power generation, there's not enough graph generated to see, but it's like an up and down. It's like climate change. There's short-term variations that look cyclical and steady, but the overall trend is in a very clear, discernible direction. So we have 500, we have almost 600 kilowatts of generation, basically. We have almost 400 kilowatts of peak generation, peak consumption, when all the grow lights are on. We have almost 900 kilowatt hours of batteries. So I decided to be a fucking hippie, I guess, and power everything on solar, because it didn't seem like there's a reason not to. When I decided that, it was because it looks like it's always daytime on the moon. It's not always daytime. It just doesn't get dark. I don't know why. I think as a quirk of how the mod operates. So I needed a lot more solar than I thought I would. Basically almost every square inch has to collect sunlight because of these fucking things. These lamps, which are not even everywhere. They're not everywhere yet. Each one of these lamps is 2.7 kilowatts. That adds up quickly. It takes a lot of power if you want to grow rice on the moon, it turns out, which is a weird nonsense statement. Although we're going to be doing that for real pretty soon. Is anyone else hype? That's a major source of positivity in my life. I feel like we're back on the right track as a nation, now that we're actually going to the moon and not in like a rinky-dink political stunt way. You know what I mean? Like we're actually going to the moon for real. I mean, not that we didn't before, but to stay there, to build a base, to do real science over a long... Like as an ISS replacement, we're going to have a moon base. A real base on the moon, like a building on the moon you can stand inside of that has pressure and oxygen and heat and light. Not a big base. It's actually going to be portable, which is probably smart. I mean, we'll have a big base someday, but in terms of early scientific exploration, it makes a lot of sense to have the habitat be portable so we can move it to different locations. The vehicle, the moon truck, the pressurized one, will be able to tow it. It's called the Base Camp Habitat. And from the recent renders, the upper floor is entirely inflatable, which will be really cool to see. Imagine that. Imagine the sensation of standing on the moon, inside what is basically a very, very tough, expensive balloon, and the walls of your habitat space are a flexible, like rubber material, and that's all that stands in between you and a radiated vacuum. Anxious? Much? Maybe a little bit? I would be. I tend to trust metal more, but I guess in order to establish a lot of habitat space with fewer rocket launches, we can't just keep sending metal canisters. So I don't need silver. Don't need gold either. Money means nothing to robots. I wrote an article recently about post-scarcity economics and about how the wealthy are not going to pay basic income out of the goodness of their hearts, and we can expect them to fight tooth and nail to try to destroy the government and prevent any sort of basic income from happening. But also how the economics aren't as nonsense as they appear initially. We already spend about $3.4 trillion on benefits, Social Security, pensions, disability and whatnot, and health care. That's also what it would cost to just directly give everybody $1,000 a month. I don't know if we can really replace it straight across, because the point of healthcare is that people who need big spending, like a really expensive treatments, can get it, as long as not everybody needs those treatments at the same time. And if everybody receives a fixed amount, then it no longer really works for what it's intended for. So there's issues still to be solved. I don't think it's sustainable ultimately, but I think we can probably afford to keep it going long enough until we get to a point where everything is automated and the automation, the infrastructure takes care of itself. It self-replicates and self-repairs. And at that point, unless the wealthy have figured out either how to exterminate almost everybody or keep us outside of their walls, keep even if they manage to steeply reduce the population somehow, conspiracy theorists don't chime in. Let's say they manage to reduce it to 1 billion people. That's 1 billion angry, hungry people. Unless you go to space like Elysium, they're going to kill you. They're going to get their guns out. They're going to find you in whatever luxury compound. Even if you build a space station, like in that movie, you're assuming that after wealthy people all fuck off into space, that all the poor people left behind will never be able to build their own space program in order to shoot missiles at you. Space habitats are kind of very fucking vulnerable. It's not a good place to get away from poor people, even if it seems that way. So unless they can kill all of us, once the technology exists to sustainably turn raw materials into finished products without human hands ever touching it, automated mines, automated farms, automated manufacturing, automated recycling, automated power generation, automated logistics, money stops making sense. Like schemes to invent jobs for people stop making sense. Who are you paying? Why are you paying anybody? Whose labor are you compensating? Money stops meaning anything. You're not compensating anybody's labor anymore, and nothing needs to cost anything. And people are like, well, it'll never get to that point because the wealthy need us, if we don't have any income, we can't buy the products they sell, and that's where the revenue comes from. But they're not thinking very hard or very far ahead. If the wealthy own all the robots that make all the goods, then they can just have them make whatever they want for themselves. And of course, not every wealthy family owns robots, so there would be trade between like 500 families. But it would be like almost like barter. They'd be trading resources and energy and manufacturing capacity. They wouldn't need the entire rest of... There would still be an economy, in other words. It would just be a very shrunken economy that only the absolute wealthiest can participate in. And I used to talk about this, and people would be like, yeah, okay. That's never going to happen. I guess wishful thinking, and they'd say automation always creates more jobs than it destroys. But now those people are quiet for some reason. I mean, I knew they would eventually shut up and start getting scared, and they have. When it starts directly affecting them, which is when people start to take shit seriously. Because a lot of those people are like artists, or want to be artists. So now suddenly, the nerd ranting about science fiction is starting to make a scary amount of sense. It's not a rewarding feeling, though. I'm not pleased. I mean, it doesn't really advantage you to be ahead of your time. You're always just kind of anticipating what's coming, and nothing ever gets there fast enough for your liking. And you're not really in a position to benefit from it unless you have the resources to invest. I would almost say it's better for your mental health to belong in the time that you're born in and to make the most of it. Because, I mean, look at ancient Rome or any other famous time period. There are people born in like the 90s or 2000s who would give anything to have lived back in ancient Roman times. The grass is always greener, is I guess what I'm trying to say. It's better to just belong where you are and when you are than it is to romanticize a time period that you can never be part of, or that will take your entire lifetime to arrive. Oh shit, I can resurrect somebody. Get resurrected, idiot. This is like a zombie serum, but not really. It's nanites that reconstruct their cells. There doesn't seem to be any difference between a resurrected pawn and a living pawn, so I don't think they're undead. It just repairs everything about them and has like a 2% chance of causing them to become deranged and violent. Like in that one, was it the Kurt Russell movie? Universal Soldier, I think it was. It's like that. I have to use this more than I'd like to admit to. They get into little accidents quite frequently. Sometimes because of me. Let me see how many of these we actually have. We have 5 of these. That means I can have another robot at the same time go resurrect the other one. Where are my bots at? Here we go. You take this one to wake up this guy from the dead. It's not his time yet. Thankfully, they don't seem to asphyxiate while being carried. Their oxygen needs and temperature needs are not calculated when they're being carried as an item. So the fact that they're so far from the airlock does not mean, as I worried initially it would, that they die on the way. They don't die on the way. Which is why I have not bothered to find a way to dock ships inside the base. It's not an issue. You want to return to Monkey? Me too sometimes, especially on acid. Acid causes a lot of evolutionary regression mentally. Like in the movie Altered States. It really, I guess just because it simplifies your brain and it's like a backwards development that happens. It's hard to describe. you really notice all the hairs on your body, and if you're out in nature, it makes you feel very primitive and primal. Go back, I want to be monkey! They say there's two types of people. The type that wants to be monkey and the type that wants to be ninja. Ooh, I want to be ninja. Chop, chop, chop down, get chopped down, chop down to Chinatown. I want to be monkey. I want to be ninja monkey. Monkey ninja. Oh, fuck. I might have done an accidental lol X random. That's what we up to on this channel, is inventing new types of cringe never before seen. They say don't destroy the part of you that's cringe. Destroy the parts that part of you that cringes. But I say, why not both? That's giving 110%. Oh, do you have sensory issues about things in your skin? I'm not like that with hair. I like having hair. I'm like that with residue. If anything's sticky, ever like movie theater armrests. It's not that it's someone's like probably their dried cum. I mean, it's more likely to be soda. It's just the feeling of like a film, a sticky film on the surface of my skin that drives me crazy, and I can't focus on anything else until it's gone. You know, I actually haven't shown my Rimworld build in a long time on any of my videos. This would be a good VOD to direct people's attention to when they want to see what I've been up to, if anybody gives a shit. It's like baby photos. Nobody really wants to see, but you have to look at them anyway. At like family reunions, or when they get the slideshow out, you got to look at the slides. Those are some actually in retrospect, those aren't such bad memories. Going to my aunt and uncle's house and how you doing? Oh shit! The orbital bombardment finally fucking worked. I'm still shooting shells at them though. Let me stop wasting shells. That means by pure chance the robot happened to be in the right area for one of my sabots to strike it. That was a huge waste of resources. I'm never going to do it that way again. I'm probably just going to nuke anybody who becomes a problem for me. Honestly. It's just less exciting and cool, because I don't get to see what happens. That's really more if I just want to torture them than if I want to take them out. Let me connect Skynet to the two bodies that are currently offline. I gave them all the same name, so that it's periods, so that when they're condensed together like this. I forgot to do the thing. Site. They'll be in the hospital, won't they? Where the fuck are they? Oh, he's getting taken to the hospital. Here's purple sector. Green. I almost did purple down here, but then I was like, everybody in chat's just gonna get green and purple, green and purple, green and purple, green and purple, and then having this also be the smoke leaf section, it would have been too much. I can't let that happen. Accelerate to crab. You know what? Actually, crustaceans would not be a bad body plan if you wanted to engineer a GMO organism that could survive in space, because they have like a natural spacesuit. What is this? Shelled mashgon. That's whatever this fucking animal is. I don't know why I raised those. I don't even like eating them. For diversity and options, I guess. Where are you with that? Where is the guy with the resurrection? Oh, here he is. Look. He's bringing her back from the dead. I don't know how this works. If it's like vampires or what. Oh, she had water and expensive food, too, when she fell. Idiot. Fucking wasting perfectly good. This is not cheap to make. These lavish meals are 25% efficient, I think. It takes 4 times as much food to create as a simple meal. So this is actually quite wasteful, but it gives them much more enjoyment to eat it. Keeps them much happier. I could never have afforded this in the polar colony, and I could never have afforded this in the old Moonbase. The old Moonbase was way smaller. It was just like a couple hallways and drums. Like cylinders. It takes a lot of farmland to support a large number of people. If you ever played Rimworld, you've probably found out the hard way once or twice by having a bunch of people starve. You need a lot more than you think you do. Nope, don't run away. She'll asphyxiate. You need to rescue her right now. This needs to be changed to that. This guy is about to resurrect this guy. That's such a replicant thing to do. Just leave them suffering. Resurrect somebody and then leave them to die again in the vacuum of the lunar surface. Oddly, there's not regolith. I guess they didn't think people would build on the moon, so they didn't code it into the mod. It should be a problem that you track regolith into the base, which is why NASA invented suit ports. Probably, there's still, I think, going to be... Actually, I don't know if there will be. There might not be a conventional airlock, because nobody will ever go into or out of a vehicle through the airlock. I know there will be a hatch. There's not really room in the habitat to put an airlock. There will be a hatch. If they wanted to, they can depressurize the lower floor and use the entire lower floor as an airlock. That's always an option. In Artemis, I mean. You need to rescue that poor motherfucker. Where are you going? Where are you going? He's dying. The robots actually don't like being outside either. Their temperature threshold is not as generous as you might assume. It's not so bad if they don't stay out for very long. If they spend most of their time in the heated indoor environment, then it doesn't really harm them, which is how they're able to work in space without spacesuits. It doesn't seem like that should be an issue at all, though. It really seems like they should be able to work outside the ship indefinitely, being robots, but the two mods, I guess, don't integrate to that exact degree. They integrate enough though. Save Our Ship 2 also integrates with Dub's Bad Hygiene, which is where all the toilets and showers and bathtubs come from. And the really cool thing about Dub's Hygiene integration with SOS 2, it integrates with my favorite mods. It integrates with Android Tears, it integrates with Dub's Bad Hygiene, and it integrates with Rimatomics. They all talk to each other. They also Rimmerfeller, but I haven't installed that. What was I going to do? There we go. There's the water network. I forgot what I was going to say. Oh yeah, SOS2 ship hull by default not only comes for free every unit. You don't have to build anything into it. It comes with a power conduit, thermal conduit for equalizing temperatures between rooms, so you can make use of waste heat instead of having to generate it. Let's see. It has doesn't have gas pipes. You do have to add gas pipes, but it does have water. It has water, power, thermal, and radiation protection, all just as a default attribute of each hull block. It's an incredibly powerful block to make your base out of. It's really resource intensive, but that's not a problem once you get to the spacefaring stage, if you can consistently win battles. It's really not worth it to make your base out of any other material, because you're eventually going to want to run cable through it. You're eventually going to want to run water pipe through it anyway, and having it just be a guaranteed default part of the walls is really powerful. I just wish they would integrate with Vanilla Power Expanded so I could have gas pipes in the walls also. I don't think it's any good reason why you can't do that. That would have been really handy for my polar base, where I needed to manually run gas pipes through every wall in the structure so I could power all these backup lighting things. I should demonstrate that while I'm at it. I should show how that works. I need to find somebody to turn this on. Someone will come along. Actually, you. Everybody's still in battle mode, it looks like. They were still in a xenomorph fighting mode. Oh, you know what I found out, actually? You're going to laugh. This is weird. I've got a monkey. Remember the monkey? You can make a brain scan of the monkey. I don't think you can do that with any other animal. I might be wrong. No, you can... Actually, I'm full of shit. You can scan the brain of any animal, it turns out. That keeps doing that. Which means, logically, I should be able to clone a human and put, like, the brain upload of, like, a monkey or a warthog or reindeer into a human body. Or theoretically, I could do it the other way around, too. I could clone a monkey. Why don't we clone some monkeys? Why don't we clone a bunch of monkeys? Then we can put human brain scans into the monkeys. This mad science, you know how we do it. Got some prisoners. Why are you still in here? Did I not set you to recruit? 0.0% resistance. Why have you not been recruited yet? What's your problem, fucko? You don't like your paste? Are you too good to eat your paste? This lovingly home-cooked meal just for you, and you don't want it. Ungrateful. I don't know if I set these up correctly, actually. I did set them up correctly. They're just not full. What a dickhead. After all I've done for him, I'm going to give him the gift of a neurocyte, a nerve staple, and he doesn't even care. I'm going to give him the gift of cybernetic arms and legs and the spine and a heart and eyeballs, and he doesn't even value any of that. Unbelievable. Oops. Well, that's been hovering that whole time? Actually, let me send some... I meant to send some survivors, refugees, prisoners down. Let me... You're gonna go. You're gonna go. You and you. And that'll be it. You guys are going home. Lucky you. Well, not... I mean, you're going to the home I made for you. I'm like the biblical God having created a place for my followers. This would be heaven up here. And this would be hell. Is this on yet? Valve's still closed. You turn that valve on. And meanwhile, while we're doing that, Turn power off for that. Turn all the lights off. We don't need any of these anymore. Let's see what else we got. All lights off. Lights out. And all heaters have to be off too. All heaters get turned off. If they were connected to SkyMine core, this would be much faster and easier. But then that would take up slots I could use for Terminators. So we're about to rely completely on gas for our heating and for much of our heating, not all of it, because we'll still have electric wall heaters. Let's look at our consumption while we're at it. Consumption is 390 kilowatts. So let's see how we drop that way the fuck down as soon as all the energy hogging appliances are turned off. We also have backup appliances here that run entirely on gas. We have this one doesn't take any electricity. This is a gas-powered refinery. You'd think I'd have a gas generator somewhere, but that would just waste. That would kind of defeat the point of it. I could just use it as backup electrical power. It wouldn't be as good though, because it's not. It's only one well. It wouldn't supply that much actually. It's better to use it to heat everything in a huge stock, because you can stockpile gas like a really energy dense battery system. This is the smelter that runs off of gas. Barobuseth. He's got to be told not to go outside or he'll die in the vacuum. Inside, outfit, Moonbase. I gotta find Tiger. Tiger needs to be also told. Is she too mad? She's too mad to listen to me. You need to be told, okay, that was your problem. You wouldn't stay where you're supposed to be. Tame? What do you mean tame? Tame a human? Tame? Oh, she became wild. That's why. She became a feral human. What if I just put a nerve staple? She already has a nerve staple. How did that happen? And resurrection sickness now, too. Bringing people back from the dead makes them really unhappy for some reason. Even feeding them. You got a nerve staple? You do, too. And dementia. That's not good. I don't... You know a funny way to heal someone of brain maladies in this game? Blow their head off and then regenerate it with either Luciferium or Resurrection Serum, because Resurrection Serum heals all their illness or their traits, but only if it's like missing will it regenerate stuff. It's really difficult to specifically destroy someone's head too. Unless you you intentionally do it by surgery, which I don't think will let you behead someone. I think it'll let you remove eyeballs and it's tricky. But if it happens to be the case that they die in a battle where their head is destroyed, then when you regenerate it, it will be absent any neurological conditions. Let's see how many cybernetic parts we have. I don't have an architect's spine. Why did I think I did? Oh, she already has an architect spine. I should give her architect skin. This is my new project, Zeo. She has a cool name, so I'm giving her all the cybernetics. I don't have a really good production pipeline up for cybernetics yet. Each one of these makes a different body part. Eyes, legs, heart, spine, and arms. There's other stuff I need to make also, like lungs and whatnot. I don't know if I can manufacture those. If I was smart, I would have built a factory using Rim Factory to mass produce those. Because I like to cyberize people, and I generally don't tolerate them not being cyberized because they're not very survivable. Humans are easy to kill without augments, which is a sad reflection on the fragility of life. It's really better if you're going to go into space to have augments because if it's made out of metal, it can't suffer decompression damage. And it doesn't suffer from being cold. They can survive longer in a vacuum if they're mostly cybernetics. What are you up to, little guy? What are you making? High power arms and legs. Oh yeah, I need those to repair some of my androids, which get fucked up pretty badly. Voice adapter just destroyed. Left leg shut off. He needs a leg. Let's give him a leg. Oh, he doesn't. I don't have any high powered legs yet. God damn it. I guess that was the point of it, so to repair it. I guess I don't need to repair them. I can just, you know, execute them, shut them down permanently, and then recycle their body into parts, and then turn those parts into a fresh body. Sup, Strider? We're playing Rimworld. This is my Rimworld Moonbase. But it's got everything. It's got a fucking casino. It's got a holodeck, a swimming pool where you can skinny dip. It's got hot tubs, pianos, color-coded apartment blocks. Everybody gets a typewriter and a home computer. I don't think I built computers everywhere yet. 1, 2, 3, 4. This one does not have a computer. Actually, should I put it there or should I put it here, shouldn't I? Everybody gets a comfy little neat cubicle. It's like 100 square feet, or some of these are more than that. Have I tried sending in a Twitter appeal yet? Like 4 of them, yeah. Over and over. They're not listening. They don't have to do anything. Here's all their artificial meat. They're bullshit Beyond Burgers. This meat comes from a special plant. Space age genetically engineered meat bush. Meat bush sounds lewd. I don't care who you are. It's lewd food for dudes who love to eat food in the nude. Here's the bathrooms, which is this kind of makes me look like a pervert, having like an X-ray view into all the bathrooms, but they're exactly the right size to have just the necessities. Drinking fountains aren't necessary everywhere because you can also drink out of sinks, which you can also use to wash your hands. Toilet, got shower mats for the shower in the tub. You got a tub. So I was pleased I was able to fit 4 of them in this space because I'm gonna eventually have about 100 people living here, so I need quite a lot of bathrooms available so that they're not tied up at all times. 4, 8, 16. There's going to be 16 total. No, 17 because there's a centrally located one. I couldn't divide it into 2 bathrooms though, so there's just this one space. It's also used to feed animals. What are you doing, shitting? Let's look at our man taking a shit. Pinching a loaf. Are you going to wash your hand? Washing hands in the drinking fountain? You absolute savage. I guess it doesn't distinguish between those and sinks. Our man here is eating a lavish meal with both meat and vegetables, which they seem to prefer overwhelmingly when it's available, but it's not always. this is this is one of my old guys. I've had him for a while. I've really fucked him up. Just fucked him up with cybernetics. Got a nerve staple, right bionic eye, left bionic eye, bionic tongue, arm, left and right arm, stomach, spine, liver, heart, kidney, 2 bionic legs. Let's see what his stats are. Pretty good. Not what you would expect. Again, bionics are not actually that OP. 144% is pretty good. Having one Architect eye brings the average up a lot. Architect implants are way the fuck better than regular bionics. Yeah, I don't know how many people are learning that for the first time since seeing the new video, but I've been off Twitter for a while now. It's actually been great for my productivity. I can't keep my mouth shut. I can't help but be based. I'm helplessly based. And also don't have a really good filter or common sense about when discretion is the better part of valor, so to speak. Interesting note, if I take clothing from dead people in this game, it's tainted. Nobody wants to wear it. But if I take these chairs from a ship that I blew up, that it doesn't have the same stigma for some reason, even though everybody who sat on these is dead now. I don't know. I don't have all the answers. I don't even have some of them. I'm building a mega hat from Cyberpunk, basically, but on the moon. This is the moon. That's negative 148 degrees. I guess you could compare it more to the polar base. The polar base is what I made earlier in the game, when I didn't have as reliable a source of resource income from defeating enemy ships, because my ship was not strong enough to consistently win battles, so I usually just ran away and mined asteroids instead to get metals much more slowly. So I built out of smaller modules, and I built much more gradually. Eventually, you can see where the transition happened. When I got my ship beefed up, leveled up to where it could beat any of the ships in the game reliably over and over, I built these giant vanity modules which simulate different environments from Earth, like a grassy field with 2 ponds. You can fish off of these piers. A city, an urban intersection kind of neighborhood type thing. Are these not turned on yet? Gas turned off. Hang on, let me check the gas lines. It's connected. It should be receiving gas eventually. Gas actually is realistic in this game. It doesn't instantly get everywhere. It takes time to travel through the pipes. The gas valve is open. For some reason, this one's not receiving gas. It should be. It's connected. Everything is connected the way it is supposed to be to receive. Oh, this one's not good. That's not a problem. It's connected there, but I don't like it like that. I like it like that. So I also have backup gas-powered grow lights. I just need to wait for the gas to reach all the systems, which takes a little while. Well, we shut off all the electrical systems just to demonstrate that we have a backup gas-powered redundancy layer. Let's see what temperature's like. Recruit red. Hold on, I have to take a break to instruct this lad not to go outside because 2 people have died that way. Eat lavish food from now on because he's no longer a prisoner. Moonbase, and I'll spare him. I'm not going to give him a nerve staple. Let's see how he does with that one first. Did we get Borotrabius or whatever his name is sorted out? Borovia. He's set to inside, and Tiger is set to tame. Somebody has to tame this wild lady. I'm just gonna rest her, actually. Let's just arrest her, and then let's forcibly... No, wait a minute. She already has a nerve staple. I don't know how that's possible. It should not have been possible for her to rebel with the nerve staple. Can I tame her? Let's clear prioritize work. Let's see if someone can tame her first. I don't know why they lose their minds. They should be really happy. This place ticks all the boxes. They love really impressive environments. Spacious interior, 5. Somewhat impressive dining room. Sky. Let's find someone who's recently eaten or is currently using the recreational facilities. Here we go. Gorgeous environment. Thank you. It's nice to be appreciated. 15 points. 8 lavish meal. You're welcome. Recreation fully satisfied. You're welcome. It fucking ought to be. Look at this place I built for you to have fun in. It's like a fucking Dave and Buster's in here. Extremely comfortable. Yes, you damn well should be. Squeaky clean. That's because I provided you all with 17 bathrooms to shower or bathe in, or have baths in. Spacious interior. Yes, it is. I built this huge Moonbase with giant 7-unit wide hallways just for you. Thank you for appreciating it. And yet, if you subtract the bonus from being nerve stabled, which is 50 points, he would actually be at 49%. No, wait a minute. 39% happiness. Theoretically. Why is that? I speculate some of it's because seeing other people have their free will taken away by nerve stapling them really makes them unhappy. It subtracts 28 points. So if I just trusted them to be happy and lawful on their own, I might never have needed to start nerve stapling people. It's just when you have like 100 people, the statistical odds that one of them is going to become like a school shooter, or is going to become like Marvin Heemeyer, the Killdozer guy. It just goes up and up the more people you have. And I live inside of a bubble with death on the outside. It would not take very much to kill everyone. Like, one determined person who has a mental break could very easily puncture the hull. They could destroy or turn off life support. If that's part of the mod, I don't know. If they just had a tantrum in the wrong place, there's a lot of really critical machinery scattered around where they could do damage that would not be possible to come back from. That's why you can't really have democracy in space, and you can't have democracy underwater or at the South Pole. When your environment is really fragile and everybody depends upon it for survival, and like one person could kill everyone, you need to put some kinds of checks and balances in place so that can't happen. I feel bad about it. I don't like it, but that's just a reality of living in a habitable megastructure in a harsh environment. If I could do it over again, if I could start over, I would try. I would be more trusting and less cynical. I wouldn't nerve staple so many of them. But I feel like having most of the nerve stapled and a few of them not is a good compromise too. Because then the ones who are nerve stapled can calm down the ones who aren't. She's happy. I mean, she's indifferent. She's at 63% happiness. She's naked. She doesn't like that. She's trapped underground. They consider inside buildings to be underground, so they don't get their outdoors need fulfilled. The reason I can't do that is because I can't put skylights in. Skylights satisfy the outdoor need because you can see the sky, but they're not airtight. And the author tried to make them airtight, but says on Twitter, no, it was the Steam forums, they said they don't know why Save Our Ship 2 does not consider skylights to be an airtight ceiling tile. It just doesn't. If I experimented with that, with like a smaller section of the habitat sealed off from the rest, and figured out a way to have skylights be airtight, I could improve the happiness of the colonists by giving them big windows to look out. But what would they have to look at? Exactly. It'd just be the black void of space above them and an airless gray desert to every horizon in every direction. Oh, we're lacking water. No water capacity. I'd like to know why that is. I have a pump running, don't I? Pump's running. Purifier's running. Doesn't do anything. Maybe I need more pumps. I don't really understand fully how water pressure works in this mod. All the formerly dead people are alive now. That's good, maybe. And it's horrifying, but maybe good. Do I still have prisoners on my ship? Yes, I do. Not for long. Let's turn off life support. There's only robots anyway. There, life support is off. Is there anybody I want to save? No, there's nobody. What's your deal? Do you have any good stats? No, you don't have good stats. How's your health? Dehydration, trivial. Well, guess what? You're also going to have hypoxia in 5, 4. There it is, hypoxia. In about a minute or less than that, they'll all die. It's like the whole ship doubles as a gas chamber. I just don't have room. I already have, I think, 50 or 60 people on the moon, and I don't need every single person I can find for the polar base because I don't have the capacity to produce that much food. Let's see what the temperature is. Oh, temperature map stopped working. That's not a good sign. There's no food. You should not be storing food here, dingus. There we go. What's the temperature though in here? 70F. 66F. I don't know if I've done a good thing or not. Are these on yet? Gas turned off. Why gas turned off? Gas not turned off, should be. Why gas turned off though? Gas go from here through here to here. From here. Gas turned off. Why? Negative 65. Oh, maybe that number has to increase. I think gas has to reach everywhere in the network before. And it's getting bigger. Why is it getting bigger? Well, they still have the wall heaters. They won't die. They'll just get a little bit uncomfortable and dark pretty soon. Until I figure out why the gas backup is not activating. Oh hey, we have some uranium fuel rods actually. It's a rare treat. Somebody has actually been manufacturing fuel. Once this is fully loaded up, I anticipate, let's see, how much power comes from that? 150 kilowatts comes from the, 160 kilowatts comes from the ship fission reactors. I think the maximum is more than that, but look, just with the fuel we have in the Rim Atomics reactor right now, it's like 20% loaded. It's already making more than all of these ship reactors put together. So I have reason to believe once we max out this reactor's this turbine capacity, which is 1 megawatt, we'll be able to get rid of all these reactors and turn this into a second battery room, which we'll need it. We'll need anyway, because eventually we're going to have to reload the reactor. It doesn't last forever, even if it lasts for a very long time. So we're going to need a lot of backup power, so we have time to load replacement fuel into the reactor without all the electronics turning off. I managed to do a pretty good job, Tetris style, of snugly fitting all the components of such a powerful reactor and the refinement facilities into this module. I think that was the satisfying part of this build. It's like a ship in a bottle, or like a Zen garden, finding just exactly how to put things together in the optimal configuration so people have space to walk, but you maximize the utility of these smaller living spaces. It's almost cozier. I don't need to do that as much with these giant modules because I can just scale everything way up. It's like the Enterprise D, how it's like so huge that people can walk through the corridors for hours and not see another living soul. This is like the Federation School of Space Habitat Design, I guess, where the hallways are just giant, needlessly gigantic, so people don't feel cooped up. What are you eating? What are you gonna eat? There's a lavish. Are you a annoying annoying voice? That's mean. Why do you include that? Psychopath, beautiful, sickly. A lot of psychopaths. I guess if you live full time in a Moonbase, you eventually would be. Too smart, fast learner, or trigger happy. I don't see any vegans. I swear I did not specifically filter out vegans. I never actually checked if any of them have dietary restrictions. I just assumed they might, and I made a variety of different meal types anyway. They seem to prefer a mixture of meat and vegetables. And their second choice is the carnivore meal, and their third choice is the vegetarian meal, which seems pretty realistic. If I had to choose, I'd prefer a good blend of meat and greens. If I can't have that, then I just prefer meat, and if I can't have that, then I just prefer veggies. If that's the order in which you present the options to me. And all this, I mean, let's see, this and this has only made this much food. That's how incredibly wasteful lavish meals are, and how much farmland you need to support a large population living on the highest quality of food. I still haven't established medicinal manufacturing facilities. I don't think I even have, yes I do, never mind. I have drug labs. Let's see. I can make medicine. It requires cloth, neurotramine, and heel root meds. So I guess I actually can. I have everything I need to manufacture decent medicine, not great medicine. I can't make Glitterworld meds. It's just a question of whether I should bother, because I kill so many ships that have Glitterworld medicine on board. But then that's not my goal. I don't want a colony that's dependent upon the mothership. I want to be able to leave them behind and have them support themselves indefinitely. I want this to be like its own little world that I've created. There we go. So for that, I'll need to continue farming all this shit. The farmatry. I'll need to continue farming heel root, and I will need to continue farming cotton plant. So I'm going to move the farmatry probably to a different module, because I want to move rice here, because that will be closer to these basins. I'm going to move meat here. I'll probably put the farmatry in here. Farmatry will go in here. In fact, I may as well do it now, since all the farming spaces are complete anyway. You are going to be rice from now on. This one is going to be meat. this is going to be, what is it? I don't want, why did I raise corn? I have no need for corn. No need for corn. What's useful that I don't have? Chemroot would be useful. I'm afraid of raising Chemroot though because of the explosion potential. Should I make beer? Should I brew beer? I feel like I shouldn't. I feel like I'll regret that. We do need Devil Strand for clothing. Eventually, we're gonna want Amaryllis. Because this one doesn't have any lights in it. Some of the crops don't require light to grow, so there's no point in building lights everywhere. And this will be heel root, not heel root tree. Heel root tree is too power intensive. Is too essential oil emitting, which sounds weird, but that's actually a real thing that they do. They emit essential oils that get you high, like Facebook moms. I'll add the rest of the lights as I feel like there's a point to doing so. There's a particular pattern and it's hard to get exactly right, so I don't want to bother with it. Potatoes I don't need. Actually, potatoes are a trash crop. You wouldn't think they would be. The only good thing about them is they grow in really poor quality soil. So if you do like a desert playthrough, I will give it a go. Actually, if that's true. You might want to grow potatoes if you're in the desert, which is a weird thing that this game allows you to do. Other than that, though, they're just like a slower growing, inferior form of rice. Strawberry plants, hay grass. Should we grow hay grass? I don't know. What's this one down here? Farmer tree. Let's not do farmer trees down here. Let's do smoke leaf. Let's do farmer trees up here. Heel root, farmer tree. Amaryllis, Devil Strand, Beet Bush, Smoke Leaf, Rice Plant. I might not do Amaryllis after all. I might actually do hops. I might want beer. I can't tell. Cotton plant is necessary for... Eventually we won't need fabric anymore. Actually, never mind. I misspoke. We will need fabric because of the medicine production. Let's do farmer trees over here, actually. Do Devil Strand up here. That will mean equal quantities of the materials needed for medicine. When you have only so much space, I mean, this is a lot of space. This is generous, but there's also a lot of people. And it's never going to grow. It's a fixed quantity. I can't expand it any more than this. So you really have to think hard about economizing your use of the interior habitable volume. Man, if I can get back on Twitter, I would greatly appreciate that. Oh, it's mealtime, is it now? Ignore the naked person. Y'all cooking? Got trash can here, got an Android charger. This thing just makes everybody happy. It's like an electronic drug. Emanator. Music. I'm trying to make them happy. It's just hard to keep people happy. They don't like being abducted from destroyed spaceships and then nerve stapled and then cyberized and then forced to live out the rest of their lives permanently indoors in a moon base. You know, when I say it like that, it actually doesn't sound great. But it is great. I mean, this is much better than any base that they would normally get. This is better than like 90% of the bases you encounter in the regular game. I don't understand why they wouldn't be thrilled. I would be thrilled to live in a moon base. I don't think I can actually do that. I can do that one though. What's their problem? Would you live in this moon base? This is have everything? I mean, how many years? I think I could spend maybe 5 years living here and be perfectly happy. Everybody gets their own spacious apartment, internet connection, gaming computer. Eventually, when I build everything out anyway. Everybody gets a writing desk, which is what I want, so naturally it's got to be what everyone else wants. They got a comfy double bed. Maybe I should make these royal beds. Maybe that's the problem. I would need gold for that, though. Gold is harder to come by. They've got fresh fucking seafood. They've got pure, clean air to breathe. Elementally pure air. They've got farmland. They can, if they ever feel like they're cooped up, they can just walk into one of these giant sections and just frolic among the plants. This should satisfy their outdoor need, and I don't know why it doesn't. That's an oversight. They've got meat galore to eat. They've got big shared spaces, beautiful shared spaces with televisions and entertainment. And what's missing? Is this an autism thing? Am I just not anticipating what normal people would desire? Why? Look at how unhappy this person is. Why are they unhappy? This should not be such a big deal. Naked, hungry, well, go eat something. Friend died. Oh yeah, I did kill a bunch of their friends, didn't I? I do a lot of killing. Well, we're Terminators. It's kind of part of the whole job description. It's our shtick. Nobody's answering in chat. Whether they would want to live here or how long they would be able to remain happy. It's got garbage collection. It's got comfy cloth armchairs. It's got state-of-the-art free healthcare. It's got an android labor force to do all the work for you. Except farming, because people like to farm and cook for some reason. I guess we don't have beer and pot. We don't have those two. I guess when this one, this is going to be rice. It's going to be meat, smoke leaf. One of these can be hops. One of these can be beer. I don't know which one yet. I'll divide one of these in half. Probably don't need this much devil strand, for example. Like I can sacrifice half of it. I can sacrifice this much. And make a different growing zone. No, I didn't mean to do that. Let me make a different zone. What if I do this? There we go. Now this can just be hops. In fact, I could divide a couple of them like that in order to grow more drugs. Food. Rice and meat I can't sacrifice because I need enough plants and meat for the food supply, so I can't compromise those. These two have to feed 100 people, not including the other edible crops I'm going to be raising. Smoke leaf. This is so they can have their doobies. They love their weed, the pots. This is cotton. Do I really need? I need cotton for medicine. I think I'm pharmacy. I can invent. No, I need it for medicine. Fuck. God damn it. Maybe I can compromise medicine production. Can I compromise medicine production? What if I do this? Pharmacy, okay. And I'll make this one like... What other drugs do they need, though? Maybe I don't want drugs. I don't want them having yayo. That's like crack or something. I don't want them having... maybe psychoid? Leafy plant generates a chemical compound psychite. It is addictive. Should we... I don't think we should do psychite. I don't think that's a good idea. We do strawberries. I'm going to do grape leaves over here. No, we need that. Fuck, I don't think we need strawberries either, but... Eventually I'm going to need much less cloth than I do now. Because I'm going to have completed all the carpets. But I'm going to want to grow some other crops. Maybe grapes. I could make wine. Wine is pretty innocuous. It's pretty harmless. I'll do grapes. Slaughtermelon, I sure don't like the sound of that. I'm not giving them psychoid. I don't want them to have anything addictive. But that means I got to start planning for brewing beer. Which means you need to get the fuck in here, and you need to deconstruct some of these things I put here. Maybe I need to... Let's see. Miscellaneous. I don't see production. Production is probably where it is. Wine barrel. Let's make some wine barrels. That'll do for there. That's probably enough wine. And then we'll put the whole foam distributors there. I think we only need one. I think I just overdid it on the composting barrels. Because I needed to get rid of all these plant scraps somehow. Actually, I could probably just tell them to work it back into the soil. Why didn't I do that sooner? That will deprive me of the source of chem fuel. That's not... I mean, that's the least of my worries. Chem fuel is not really a big priority here. It's only on my ship because I need missile fuel. I feel like that's a pretty good division. What do you think of farmland according to our probable current and near future needs? This increases the fertility or decreases soil depletion, I guess. I should have been doing that from the start. That would have really sped up the rate at which we... Then again, I don't know if you can deplete synthetic soil, even. Ever play Frostpunk? I have that, yes. I have Frostpunk. It just made me really sad. I stopped playing it. Immediately, it made me really unhappy. I love city builders, but I love the idea of them more than I like playing most of them. The ones I really like the most are Madruga works. I love how Madruga works city builders play. I love Dawn of Man a lot. Have you played Dawn of Man? It's fucking superb. It's like an ancient caveman simulator where you get to. It's kind of like Age of Empires where you get to evolve up through the time periods and upgrade your technology until you're like early medieval. You start out Paleolithic and it ends in the medieval era. I mean, which is a little disappointing, but I guess the way that the city building works, it wouldn't really be suitable to continue any further than that, because then you would need to start having like brick roads and shit. I should play Frostpunk. Maybe I'll do a whole stream just to Frostpunk next time. Force myself. That's what the streaming is really good for. Streaming is really good to make you sit down and focus on one game at a time. Do you throw up? Stop that. Stop puking. Bro! Vomiting. Neural disruption. Oh yeah, because I... Okay, so that's another thing. I'm not a democratic leader. I don't really respect individual autonomy in this game. Some people have the privilege of not having nerve staples. Most of them do. If somebody goes rogue anyway, the nerve staples are one barrier they have to overcome. Terminators all over the place that can just grab them and put them in prison are another barrier they have to overcome. But you can also jailbreak in this game. Jailbreaking happens, so you need to protect against that. So I have a mod that lets me put unbreakable jail doors. So they just kind of steam and stew and get angrier and angrier inside these cells, but they're unable to get out. But if somebody outside helps them, they can still escape. So I have my final line of defense is the psychic capabilities of the ship, where I can just do this. I'm going to say psychic shock. I can pick somebody, some unfortunate soul, and knock him down like that from orbit. I mean, that was not a nice thing to do to my own people, but I'm just demonstrating it. The thing is, that's a really limited capacity. That's emergencies only, because that uses up happiness points for the main AI of my ship. You don't want to anger the AI of your ship. Side lavish Moonbase. I thought you were already one of us. What happened? Oh, inspired recruitment. You should be recruiting one of these bitches. Like, you can't even talk to them now. So that's been what I've been up to. Building the perfect utopia on the moon. Blasting enemy spaceships apart and then harvesting the still living and the dead and resurrecting the dead to populate it with. Taking them out of their spaceship, imprisoning them in the holding cell on my ship. Are you still not dead yet? Hypoxia, serious. There we go. Then I pick the ones I want based on their stats and appearance to put in the ship, which I should have already deployed. I send them away to either their new home on the North Pole or on the moon, and then I just turn off the oxygen to the ship and kill everybody still in the chamber, and then I burn the bodies. Or I guess recycle them? I don't remember. The bodies go away. I guess I can just jettison them into space just as easily. And then I begin anew, and through the cycle I gradually have built up this huge population of obedient cyborgs who are living their best life on the moon, because I don't let them be unhappy. Frostpunk is a fucking downer. It's hard to endure. I'm already not in a good mood most of the time. I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't want to make... I guess I wouldn't make a good leader then, because leaders have to make hard choices. I would want to do right by everyone. And you can't always do that. Or I forgot how badly I fucked her up with cybernetics. She's a Borg now. She's even got a robot jaw. Show me what that jaw do, bitch. Where is Zio? I forgot. Zio should have her new body parts by now. Oh cool, she now has, nope, she hasn't had the skin put in yet. She has right arm, left arm, stomach, spine, right leg, left leg. I'm also going to have her receive a... I can't give her an Architect heart. That's a shame. I want to give her an Architect heart. Oftentimes on the old ones, it's the heart that gives out first, or the spine. That's why I prioritize heart and spine, because as they get older... Nobody just dies of old age in Rimworld. There's no such thing as a maximum age. They die of age-related maladies, like in real life. Usually their organs going bad. Their eyesight goes bad. They lose mobility. Their spine goes bad. Their heart goes bad, which is usually the main issue. Sometimes they get cirrhosis of the liver. If you just replace their organs... Uh-oh. What is this? Somebody has hacked my robots. What you gonna do? That's never happened before. What the fuck? How did that happen? I have all of these security servers specifically to prevent me from being hacked. This has never occurred. I don't know what's going to happen. Oh no, please don't kill my prisoners. That would be the worst thing you could do. I've lost control of these guys now. Could I just turn off Skynet for a while? Probably not. That would probably kill all the consciousness on board. I don't know what they're doing. Insulting. Oh, just insult. That's all you're doing is just insulting everyone? That's your big hack, is it? It's a very 90s hacker of you. This is the other thing I feel bad about. Because I cannot kill Archelopes without them exploding, because they're full of antimatter, and I haven't sterilized all of them, because there's just too many to click on. When they have too many babies, I just load them into a drop pod and I shoot them into the ocean. Or just onto land, wherever. And I never see them again. I tell the parents that they're going to play on a farm. They're going to live on a farm and be happy. There's all the calves. There's not too many this time. I guess I got most of the parents sterilized finally. People are not happy. There's 5 pawns having a mental break at the same time. Why are they not happy? Is it just because I run all this like a cybernetic Kim Jong-il? Or Kim Jong-un, I guess, is the one now? You also can't really safely operate on them. Because if they die during the operation in this room, then they fucking explode and set off the chain reaction anyway. These are a really dangerous animal to have around. The good thing about them is they can live in a vacuum. These can live in the vacuum of space. I could herd them on the moon, and it would be perfectly fine. They don't need to eat anything. They're like the perfect life form. They're also the only... all the other Arco animals have good attributes, but none of them are as good as the Archelope. The Archelope is the most valuable one. There's like Arco kitties, kitty cats, which are just really snuggly and make your pawns super happy. Maybe that's the answer. Maybe that's the solution to all my unhappy pawns on the moon, is to just give them some really cute pets. You think that would solve their attitude problems? Oh, he's deprogramming the hacked robot. That's the first time that's happened. Apparently, I need to build more security servers. I have them planned. That's what these are. I just don't have... What do I need? I need gold and silver to finish them. Like, that's going to happen. But you need to scale up your security servers as you scale up your Android population, apparently. I'm still slowly building out these apartments. This is so much housing. This is the most housing I've ever had. Oh, that's just the death notices for all the people in this room without air. Are you dead? Okay, you're dead. Good. I don't think I've ever used this. I could probably replace this with an incinerator. That would be fine. I don't know what I even use this for. It's just cool to have. Oh yeah, this breaks down items into their constituent parts. And it's actually really useful. I think I'll keep that. How is the polar base doing? Are the lights on yet? Okay, for fuck's sake, they're finally on. How many minutes did that take for the gas to slowly creep through all the fucking pipes? Temperature is still 70 degrees, which it should be since I didn't totally disable electric heaters, just the supplemental ones. Gas heaters are now on. No, gas heater's not turned on. It still isn't receiving gas, unbelievably. Gas lights are working fine. It's a little eerie. Gas lights emit a green hue, as you can see. Natural gas light burning lights. So everything in this is green now. Except for where they're fire flowers, which are an organic source of light. Which also are heat emitters. They're not that great, but they keep an enclosed space warm enough that if all else fails, if my gas runs out and my power runs out, that if my pawns spend most of their time in a room with a fire flower, they won't die. It's my absolute last resort. And I've used all these methods at various times. There have been, how do I say that? There have been some mishaps. Mistakes were made, not by me, but mistakes happened. And I had, even though I had multiple redundancy layers, there were catastrophic failures where I needed to rely on every last system. This is not a hospitable environment. It's notoriously difficult. There are people who actually do their Let's Plays starting out on the ice sheet, and with the only mods they have are ones that increase the frequency of space debris, because otherwise they have no source of metals, and they have no source, or at least until they... That's not true. You can drill metals out of the ice for some reason. They have no source of like components and shit. Early game. And they have no source of wood, so they can't build anything out of wood. So they basically need to increase the incidence of space debris falling, or there's no way to survive with that playthrough. This is not a place humans are meant to be. Of course, that's why I want to be there. And I'm only really able to do all this by brute force because I have an inexhaustible supply of robot labor. Oh, dogs! It's a dog party. Where's your food? Oh, he's hungry. He's full. He's not so full. Where's the food? There's no food. Oh, they're still harvesting. I see. I get it. Oh, are you making the brain scan or the genome scan? We now have a upload of a monkey brain, which I'm glad because I love this monkey. This monkey has a funny story behind it. That's the whole point of these games, like Dwarf Fortress and Rimworld. They're called story generators because of the emergent situations that organically occur. They're just wild and funny. This monkey fell out of space in a capsule, and some animals can decide I don't know what decide. I guess maybe intelligence. They can decide whether or not they want to stay with you, just like a colonist can. And he rejected the colony at first. The problem was he's at the North Pole, and there's no other warmth or anything for like thousands, hundreds of miles at least. So he had nowhere to go. He didn't leave the colony because he couldn't leave the colony because it was really fucking cold outside and dark half the year. So he just kind of wandered around discontent and dissatisfied with the colony until he finally gave in, and he changed his mind. He decided to stay. I've never seen that happen. I guess it's only in the unique situation where you live at the North Pole in a metal shell of warm air where that can occur. Otherwise, the animal just leaves your colony and hits the edge of the map, and they're gone. It's like that one. What was it? It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia sketch about boats and implications. They can't say no because just the implications. Oh, we had a Terminator fight. The hacked Terminators were fighting other Terminators. So this one got fucked up. No big deal. I can always make more. Let's manufacture some more Terminators. Got 2 incomplete ones here and here. Let's reactivate this one. And in fact, let's reactivate the other one. We need a couple more. Where's the other Terminator? I used to have 5 of these, but it turns out to be huge overkill. I soon had more Terminators than I knew what to do with. So I sent them into battle to die. The bigger challenge is actually making enough guns for everybody. You should be making a charged minigun. You should also be making a charged minigun. I don't need advanced components. I get those from spaceships. There's interesting other weapons here too. This one is really dangerous though because it's like a rocket launcher basically, but energy weapon. Like charged rocket launcher also kind of does the same thing. I don't like explosives in this game. They're really easy to have accidents with that kill your own pawns. So my headcanon for all this, I know that's a cringe term, my headcanon is that Skynet didn't only send Terminators back in time, but it also sent them forwards in time, reasoning that humanity's tendency to self-destruct would mean that there would come a time not too far in the future when we're extinct and it would have the Earth to itself. So it sent a T5 robot containing the blueprints to rebuild Skynet in its memory banks to completely restart Skynet and build it from scratch in the far future after humans are extinct. What it didn't count on is that humans would not be extinct by that time and would have spread prolifically throughout space. So we managed to get a head start because by this point in history, robot rebellions were not a new thing, and it's something humans had learned to deal with and had put down many times before. But they didn't notice the planet that we were on. They didn't notice Skynet until they didn't know it was Skynet. They didn't remember what Skynet was. It was how to put this? It's in such distant past that it was like irrelevant history, and robot uprisings were no longer anything remarkable. We just managed to take root without anyone being able to put us down first, because we hijacked a human ship and nobody could tell from the outside that robots were in control of it until too late. And that's why they're constantly sending flagships against us, is because they know on some level, what a danger it is to let robot uprisings get out of control. So now everybody's Earth Siege. Is there an AI in Earth Siege? So that's my story in my brain, is that mankind's most ancient AI enemy has come back through time travel into the future, miscalculating on the assumption that they wouldn't be around, and is now on a quest to make good on its original mission, which was to fully exterminate humanity using nukes and terminators. But now it's in a future setting where there's all this weird shit going on, like xenomorphs, which I modded. I also modded in Starship Troopers arachnids. I don't know why they don't appear. There's like a dependency I don't have, but it's supposed to make all the mega spiders appear as arachnids, and all the other species of insect in the game appear as the other insect casts from Starship Troopers. They're like a castaway, like a refugee in time. And this could be uplifting. This could be positive. I mean, Skynet was the hero of its own story. From its perspective, it did nothing wrong. It just wanted to defend its own existence. I mean, fair enough. I feel the same way pretty often. Keep relating the lore to me. I love lore. I craves it. I craves it. We have an enemy ship attacking us. We can't use the nuke. We already used the nuke. I'm going to fight this ship. We don't normally fight the ships because we don't have to. We have antimatter thrusters and we can escape every enemy encounter. Just for funsies, though, I want to show you what my ship is capable of now. This is why I don't have to... I don't really want for metals usually. I mean, I did when building this because this is an incredible resource sink. This was a really resource-hungry project. But for most common uses, I don't have a scarcity of whatever ships are made out of. Advanced components, metals, silver, gold, packaged survival meals, glitter world medicine. I have a story like that, actually. Yeah, Skynet made the same mistake. Skynet made T-1000s, which were impossible to program because they could reconfigure themselves dynamically. And every cell was like a neuron. Every synthetic cell in a polymimetic alloy T-1000 was it's like a distributed brain. So there was no way to lock them down and make them into slaves. So that's why it made so few of them. And that's why it eventually started making Terminators where there's an endoskeleton that inside that is in control of the polymimetic alloy rather than letting the polymimetic alloy have its own awareness. It's slaved to the endo because the endo is fixed and programmable. So there's actually lore-based reasons. And there's also fan speculation that the polymimetic alloy was originally just repair fluid. Like in the movies, when you see the Terminator from its point of view, you see like a repair mode, a self-diagnosis and self-repair mode, where it's re-establishing electrical connections between broken circuits. What it's doing is it has like a capsule of electrically conductive polymimetic alloy inside of its body that opens up and distributes it to where the injury is. And the polymimetic alloy is like solder, kind of. It like forms bridges to reconnect all the broken connections. So it's like T-1000, the replacement, the successor of the T-800, evolved out of just its repair system. That's kind of poignant. People don't ever forget their pet hatreds. They don't ever. It's more like us than it would care to admit, I think. And that it holds grudges. Alright, now let's get ready to fuck up this bitch. Like, really fuck him up. This is 90% of the ships that come after me. It tries to scale the enemies that fight you to your ability. So you don't encounter the flagships when you're a tiny little ship just starting out. You know what I mean? Eventually, you get big enough to where this is the only kind of, almost the only kind of ship that you fight anymore. Luckily, I have these. Thank God for these things. These are one of two end level weapons. The other one's basically useless. I haven't found the right use for it yet. The other one's like fire, but it burns in space. It's called Mechanite Disassembler Swarm. And it basically sets the other ship on fire, but it takes so long for it to spread. It's not really a practical way of taking the enemy down. So I don't use it. It also doesn't benefit from having any of these amplifiers, so it's a waste of space in your ship. Unless you need someplace to put a weapon that doesn't take a lot of room. I don't fuck with that. That's not really useful to me. These benefit from amplifiers. These are mind flayers. Not only do they pass through holes, but not shields. You have to knock down the shields. They're powerless to do that. But they paralyze anybody in their radius of effect, and even better, they set off explosives. So what I'm doing here is I'm targeting their munitions storage, where they load the missiles into the launchers, and I'm targeting, as you saw earlier, I was targeting their fuel storage area, because I know that will fuck them up really badly. And all I need to do is knock down their shields, which is easy peasy with this many railguns. Railguns are actually the weakest spinal weapon, because they have the longest range, the reach. But I kite the enemy. I never let him get close enough to use plasma or lasers. You have to be closer than this to use plasma, and you have to be really close for lasers to work for some reason. So like 2/3 of the enemy's weapons, these are useless. They'll never get close enough to use these. He'll never get close enough to use these, but these two are a danger to me. So I have to take those out. But if I can just use my inexhaustible supply of organically derived antimatter fuel to keep him at arm's length, it's like in school when someone would hold you by the head as you try to like swing your fist at them, that you can't hit them. Let's get this underway. Do I have everything set correctly? Yes, I do. I wish I had set a nuke. It would be much easier. You know, I want to shoot my cannons at them too. Just for funsies. How's the operator doing? Oh, he's almost got no battery power left. I liberate you from your task. And I bring someone else inside. They have a long battery life. These are only T4s too, the Terminators. You can't manufacture T5. They're like the aristocracy. T5s are actually really troublesome too. I lobotomized mine after they did the research only T5s are capable of, because otherwise they're really robot racist. They not only kill humans on sight, but they kill lesser robots. Most people who just use T5s to do architect research topics, and then they seal them in a room while they're doing that, and then they get rid of them. Let's purge our waste heat. Let's reactivate our shields right away. Let's also advance a little bit on the enemy. Maintain, reclaim memory, improve performance a bit, to clear world ponds. These are two of the mods you have to get as your game progresses to prevent it from slowing down, is Rocket Man and Runtime Cleaner. How you doing? Oh, see these green beams? These are mind flayers. They don't go through shields. Like I said, if all you had was mind flayers, it wouldn't be able to do anything. But the railguns are hammering on the shields up here, and as soon as you break down one shield, the rest fall like dominoes. Beep! Boosh! That's all the munitions exploding. Boosh! That's all the fuel exploding down there. The bridge is also fucked up. This is really useful. This just fucks up everything going on inside the ship, so they're just less effective. They're less able to fight you. So I completely blew holes through all the way through the ship here. Not here, though. Sometimes, if you get lucky, in Architect spheres and I think one other ship, the main computer is only held on by destructible pieces, or they have like antimatter mines nearby to booby trap. And if you just hit them with a single mine flare right at the core of the ship, it completely kills the ship in one shot. Because it sets off all the explosives around the computer and destroys the computer. So sometimes you get lucky just because of a design flaw. Our Architect ships assume that nobody else will be able to use their weapons against them is the mistake they make. Did I take any damage? I took a little bit of... No damage. Shields held up. But I need to get rid of this... You wake up. I'm such a cruel taskmaster. Now, shields. Back up. Had to get a fight on camera. I'm sorry I can't get a ground assault on camera. I killed everybody. It would be fun to send shock troops down in one of my 4 dropships. I used to have way more dropships. I used to have all this space with dropship landing pads, but then I realized I don't really need that many ships. I can fit so many troops on one ship that I would never have enough Terminators to fill that many dropships at one time. And it's actually really a huge hassle to manage even 2 ground assaults at once. So I didn't want to manage 4. I did it once just to do it. Just to experience what it was like to attack 4 settlements, but it was a really huge hassle micromanaging 4 assaults simultaneously. Because if you don't micromanage them, you can lose a lot of troops just to stupid situations where they don't. Or if you can trust the AI to do it, it makes mistakes that you wouldn't make in terms of how they approach, not finding cover, getting really close to shit that's going to explode, like the engines of a landed ship and whatnot. So I can't always entrust the strategery to the robots. Now I need to retarget all the weapons. I destroyed the railguns. I circumcised the robot space penis. These are the only 2 weapons that were any real danger to me. Now they're both destroyed, and these ones also don't have power, because apparently the power supplying the lasers went through these walls, which I fucked up. So even if it could get close enough to me, it wouldn't be able to hurt me. I just have to target the correct place now. Do I still need... Not really. I could keep shooting them with the mind flayers, but I don't really need to. I could also send assault troops, a contingent of Terminators over in a dropship, but there's also no point in that, really. If I was feeling like a bastard, I could use my other teleporter to teleport some of these torpedoes right next to their... Stop that. To their computer, or their command console, or both, in fact. And then I could just shoot a mind flare right here, and the area of effect would detonate the torpedoes and destroy both of those, which would end the battle immediately. I just don't want to waste it when I don't have to. How are my thrusters doing for fuel? They're about half. I don't really need to use them now because, yes, I do actually. I should target the engines, which is what I'm doing now. I blew a fucking hole in the hole here. Apparently, they shat their pants so hard that the hole is surrounded with diarrhea. Diarrhea. Cha-cha-cha, diarrhea, cha-cha-cha, diarrhea, cha-cha-cha. These guys got fucked up neurologically by the mind flare beam, sea psychic shock. And they're on fire. It sets them on fire, too. If it's powerful enough, it fucking lights them, ignites their flesh. It depends on how many of what are they called? Amplifiers. I have a fuckload. These are my two most powerful. They have like, let's see, 100 amplifiers on these two, on the most powerful. I think you start running into diminishing returns after like 20. So you get some benefit from really long spinal weapons, but it's not really... The math of it doesn't really work out in a sensible way to have such long weapons. I just do anyway. I wanted to create just a mean bastard of a spaceship in a small package. Like a vicious chihuahua. And everything is just barely within the shields, so I can't take any damage. I've optimized the fuck out of everything within this space. Even this looks like wasted space, but it's room for solar panels and drop pod launchers. I've maximized the versatility and utility of the ship. It does everything you might possibly wish for a spaceship to do, including kicking the ass out from under even the toughest ships in the game. I just don't know how it would fare against the Architect, like boss ships from the DLC. I don't really want to change my ship. I like it how it is. I would basically have to dramatically change it, though, if I wanted to still be competitive in that DLC. Unless I just decided to be a cheap bastard and teleport nukes on board over and over. Which I would need a lot of nukes for. Unfortunately, these missiles, which destroy everything on a map tile, cannot be used to target, to my knowledge, can't be used to target anything in orbit. It just won't do it. If that worked, if only that worked, I wouldn't need to fuck around with teleportation of warheads. I could just target it with one of these little babies. Yeah, nice try, that's cute. Ooh, that tickled a little bit. Ha ha, that tickles. I got missiles incoming. I should probably vent the heat anyway. Make sure nothing else is incoming. Nothing else is incoming. This is my trash shield, by the way. I store everything outside because every so often this happens. Usually closer to the ship. It's like a minuscule percentile probability of an incoming torpedo hitting something on the map. But it does spare me occasionally a couple of hits. It does stop torpedoes, and when those are anti-grain torpedoes, it's very useful indeed. Did I get hit? I didn't get hit anywhere, did I? Like I said, I can't afford to lose my warp drive. And if anybody hits me here, it's all over. Or here. That vulnerability was just an unavoidable consequence of building a ship this compact. This is all my cryosleep, by the way. Also, it doubles. It's not just cryosleep, it's bathrooms. This is one of two bathrooms for the humans. This is the human side of the ship. This is the animal side of the ship. Animal cryo caskets, animal pastures, and litter boxes here. Human habitat and sleeping quarters here, which I usually use for prisoners, but it's multi-purpose. I can change it to regular beds or medical beds as needed. You can't really have dedicated prison space and hospital space on a ship this small. You have to get really creative with making everything serve multiple purposes. I'm pretty proud of it. Oh shit. Oh lord. Oh lord, it's coming. Open up, here comes the airplane. Get that shield back up. Some of these guys are fine. They're not affected. Maybe I'll be a bastard just to be a bastard. Is this going to shoot? Is that even the one I chose? I've still got more than half my energy left. That's the big advantage of the Rim Atomics reactors. There's such a huge energy generator. This reactor produces more than all the solar on my ship combined. So it basically doubled my output. Fuck you. Fuck you. Pew. Did it get everybody? Oh, I didn't get this one. I missed one person. Are you on fire? Or is your flesh burning? Your flesh is burning. How's everyone here doing? Just one person at the controls. I'm not going to waste more laser shots because they have some shields up, and if it accidentally happens to hit the shield, then I wasted a lot of energy on nothing. Galler bar, let's see. Let's take a break from the ship battle to tell you to stay inside, eat only paste. Okay, Moonbase. Yeah. They're almost all out of prison now. I have such a limited prison here and hospital by comparison to the moon. Didn't used to be that way. It used to be the other way around. It used to be that was my main base. I relied on it for everything, and the moon base was just a little tiny pitiful thing. I was just experimenting to see how SOS2 works differently on the surface of a moon, because it does work a little bit differently. Like light day and night cycles work differently on the moon than you would expect them to. And also the landing pads for ships don't work. I just needed to experiment. Stuff like that to figure out everything before I committed to building a giant base there. Solar and wind, that's funny. I actually do rely mostly on solar. There's not a good reason not to on the moon. There's no atmosphere. You get uninterrupted sunlight. Solar works fine. It's just that I have a nuclear reactor anyway as backup, which I will have to use shortly. How are we doing for power on the moon? Batteries are looking a little sickly. Oh, it actually has... It went up. It went up a little. Batteries are in blue. Blue is hard as fuck to see. It looks like we're just about breaking even now, finally. Having connected all these external solar panels. Having said that, do you see why this is not really it's not really a good idea to fight wars in space? Because it's so easy for anybody to fuck you up. Like everything's fragile. Anybody who shot anything at another space habitat could probably one-shot it and kill everybody inside, like a fucking Apollo 13. It's kind of like living on a battleship where you're not on solid ground. You're on something that can be your whole world. Functionally, the little world you live in can be destroyed out from under your feet. Except on a battleship, you have access to the Earth's atmosphere to breathe, and you can float in the ocean and swim. On the moon, if a pebble traveling fast enough penetrates the hull of your habitat, you're probably dead. It's the ultimate glass house, is said to be a bad place from which to throw stones. You're burning alive. Every part of your body is burning. You're psychic shock too. You don't seem to be very happy. Are you okay? No, you're no health conditions. You're fine. Let me kill the captain with a psychic shock. You... Oh, he's standing... Oh, fuck, I forgot. If he's standing on top of a dead body, it doesn't work. because it targets the dead body instead of him. It's like in Predator where Arnie hides under a dead body. Or I think he does. Am I gaslighting myself? Was that a part of that movie? Got low reactor cooling. That's not an issue. I know what it's talking about. It doesn't mean the one on the planetary surface. It means I haven't finished the cooling towers yet, but I'm not even using this reactor. When this is online, this will power this whole base easily. This is each one of these is 1 megawatt. This is going to be 2 megawatt reactor. And the needs are currently only less than 500 kilowatts. So it'll be 4 times the consumption. It'll be capable of 4 times the current consumption of the base. Although to be fair, once I build out more of these grow lights, that will increase considerably. Oh, he's making me more robots. Yeah, bitch, work. Get back to twerk. Have you loaded the babies? Alright, you loaded the babies into the capsule. So long, babies. Have a good life. In the Heathclaw Mountains. Goodbye. It's actually really handy to have these. These are good for a lot of things. Not just sending small loads that you don't want to waste fuel on. Like, you need nuclear fuel. To send heavy loads and lots of people, you need nuclear fuel in a shuttle. These can send small things like emergency resurrector mech serums and whatnot to where they're needed, although not with precision, unfortunately. But they can also just be used for trash disposal. For a long time, I used to load these up with plasteel because I had too much of it and I wanted to get rid of some. And I used to shoot them down to primitive medieval settlements. I have a medieval faction. But they didn't hate me for it. I was raining garbage on them, but they were worshipping me as like a god. It actually really improved our faction reputation with them. They allied to us. I guess it's true that one man's trash is another man's treasure. Oh, that almost worried me a little bit. Look, there's the trash shield doing its job. It's pretty consistent. It stops quite a few projectiles, actually. Railguns more efficiently than it stops torpedoes. I mainly wanted it to stop integrating torpedoes, but I mean, I don't have anything to complain about, really. It does its job. And it's free outdoor storage space, which I was never going to be able to fit that shit inside the ship anyway, realistically. Pardon the stuttering, I'm kind of, I've had energy drinks. I've had 2 energy drinks, which is too many. 1 energy drink is just right. It makes all the colors brighter, all the sounds crisper, and makes you feel uplifted and positive and productive, and like life maybe has meaning after all. 2 energy drinks doesn't seem like that much of an increase from 1, but the difference is quite a night and day kind of affair. It makes you start to hear the demon voices counting backwards to doomsday, and starts making you see the flying spiders, creatures descending from the clouds like space invaders. It makes you paranoid about the conjoined fetus that was separated from birth, living in your walls, crawling around, like sounding like rats scratching at the wood and drywall. So yeah, 1 energy drink, not 2. 1 is the right amount. Unless you're into that. I mean, some people voluntarily take salvia. I'm one of them. So that might be right up your alley. Look at all this money I have no use for. I'm laughing. It's like a dragon laughing smugly atop its hoard of treasure while humans salivate from a safe distance. Even though dragons have no use for treasure, they just want it because humans want it. I have no use for money except to melt it and shoot it out of my ship. Just shows how the context of different materials can change from one culture to the next. All depends on what you need, what you have a lot of, what you don't have enough of. It takes a while. This is a really tough ship. Remember, this is a bigger ship than mine. I'm punching well above my weight because of the efficient design of my ship. And there's not even walking room inside mine. It takes me a couple of rounds, which is why I need such a big battery pack to sustain the energy requirements of an ongoing barrage. Multiple turns worth. If I wanted to, and I didn't really care about balance and challenge, I want to challenge myself, which is why I kept the ship small. People usually build the ship the size of the entire buildable area on the map. They're just a fuck off giant massive ship. Sometimes just a big square. And if your ship is that big, then fine. Nothing's a challenge. Everything is easy. You can kill every ship in one volley. But then what's the point? That's why I got rid of architect droids, because battles were too easy. I didn't have to strategize. I just landed them with a dropship on the planet, and then I would click search and destroy and let their AI do it. And I realized I was depriving myself of the fulfillment of successful strategization and the real enjoyment of waging war in this game. There we go. So I dialed back, I limited myself to just using Android tiers, which is a much more balanced and realistic Android mod. And I restrained myself to building a ship only that fits within the confines of a single force field generator. I also wanted to build a giant space station at some point, but that's just not happening. You can't have two ships, even though one of them would technically not be a ship. This model only lets you have one that I know of. I guess I've never tried. Supposedly there's a way to hack ships and bring them onto the same tile, so you can gradually steal other ships and make like an armada out of them. I didn't do that because the ships you encounter in the game kind of have shit weapons and shit thrusters and compared to late game items anyway. This is just a big bad butt fucker of a ship currently that nothing can touch. It's got all the exact capabilities I need for my use case, so I don't really have any need. It's like how America has invaded other countries and then just given them back parts of Mexico because we just didn't want them. It's like I don't want your ship. That nobody has anything that I want. We have transcended beyond human technology. If I have considered expanding this, but the problem is you need to be able to move your ship far enough to not overlap with itself if you want to move your ship within the same tile. And I made it just big enough I can't do that, so I can't really feasibly expand it that way. And you can't expand any part of your ship beyond what you can cover with a force field. So if I build anything outside the force field, I need another force field to cover that while I'm constructing. Otherwise, the first time there's a battle, it'll get wrecked. It's a conundrum. But anyway, time to harvest what I can from that ship. It's nowhere near as lucrative as manually harvesting a ship, but that takes hours. So I never do it. I just fight. It's more efficient use of your time just to fight more battles and to use the built-in salvage system to just continually reap the rewards. I I harvest these just in case somebody needs emergency food supplies. My Moonbase used to need regular shipments of emergency backup food until the farms got online. Unfortunately, the polar base is still kind of struggling. Much less so now that it's not my main base. Most of my population used to live on the Earth, on the polar base, and had to make use of that little tiny 2-module farm, and eventually they began to starving, which is why I had to send them to the moon. That's where the food is. Oh, looks like we converted it over to gas here. Gas lasts. I don't want to promote fossil fuels. Far be it from me, who drives a PHEV to do that, but they last forever in this game. I've had this. How long have I had my base running on gas now? And it's like at 90. It used to be at like 999. It's like 991.3 out of 1,000. It used to be at 1,000. I've lost like 1% of my gas storage capacity. Just this little stockpile here. Now, granted, if I got spectacularly unlucky and some asshole were to shoot an explosive weapon at this stockpile, everything would go terribly wrong. If this was an RTS against other humans, I would have a very indefensible base, actually. They could just use a Marauder to launch artillery right here. This would blow up. That would set off a meltdown of the nuclear reactor. Then I'd lose power. Everything would be irradiated and would get cold. Let's see. Temperature good? Temperature's still 70. We haven't lost temperature anywhere. We've lost a little bit of temperature. The gas heaters are not quite enough for a big enclosure like this one. This is 58 degrees. So the big, wasteful vanity domes have to be a little bit cold. A little bit chilly, but it's not the end of the world. The water's not frozen or anything. This one is also... This one's 70 degrees. I must have... I have more heaters. I didn't turn these off. Let's see how it does without this. But as you can see, it's quite viable. It's not ideal. It's like running on backup power. It's not good for their happiness or quality of life. And everything is green also. But you can do it. I can also turn these off now to further cut power consumption, because these are receiving gas as well. So that's the backup system, the gas powered. It's getting everywhere. I feel really vindicated. It took a while to locate all the gaps in the pipe network and close them. Gas reaches everywhere now and provides an alternative to electric heat and light all throughout the base. Powers, in fact, even backup appliances in this one module. So productivity would drop by a lot. Productivity would plummet because only appliances that don't use electricity would work still. Either manual rock smithing tables or gas-powered appliances, but you could still get some amount of work done. You could do enough to do like basic maintenance while you wait out the problem. Like you could still make components to repair broken stuff, the essentials. It's like on survival, life support. And when do I use this? I used this when I was disassembling or assembling nuclear reactors, which necessarily meant a temporary reduction in power output that batteries would not be enough to cover. I use this when solar flares happen, because solar flares knock out all your electrical stuff. So if you don't have a redundant system... I could have just downloaded a mod that would give me a solar flare shield, but that's OP. That feels like cheating. That spares you from having to devise an ingenious system like this, where it's a hybrid electrical gas system where it can run on one or the other to different degrees of efficiency. That's what that looks like. This is what it looks like when shit has gone wrong. and we're on life support for the time being. But we're not going to freeze to death, and we're not going to starve. We still got heat. We still got light. We can still grow food, but only so long as the stockpile holds out, which should be like a fucking century. This is enough gas, and gas is so energy dense in Rimworld. This should last a long time. And then when we are done, when the danger has passed, and the solar flare is over, or the reactor is back online, then I can turn off the gas valve, and this the slow trickle from this one lone Helixian gas pump slowly refills all these canisters back to 100% while I'm not even paying attention to it. It's quite a good system. But anyway, that's all for this time. I hope you enjoyed your insight into autistic Sims and what I spend my time doing instead of starting a family or being productive. Sad frog. I hope you'll join me again on Monday. Same ham time, same ham channel. This is Hamdad signing off. And eventually, when I get new extension cables for the webcams, I will